Oh boy, oh boy. It looks like we've got some real developments for the Mamamax drama. So, apparently, Nicholas Deorio, I guess you could say friend of the channel, interviewed Mamamax on his live stream 6 hours ago. This happened very, very recently. This is fresh news, fresh off the presses. Um, I haven't seen this yet. I didn't even know this was happening, but holy shit, I guess we've got to watch it. This seems to be involving Subordinary Gamers, pretty based, Chud Logic, fuck Chud Logic, Willie Mac Show, I like Willie Mac Show's content, it's been pretty good lately, and Bo Black, who I generally have a positive opinion of most of the time. So yeah, let's take a look at this. Apparently they all interviewed him, or maybe just part of this is the interview. I imagine just part of this is the interview. I doubt it's 6 hours of interviewing Max. Okay, let's see what's up. I'm ready. Is Nick based now? I mean, I've talked to Nick about politics multiple times, and I know for a fact he's not, like, transphobic or racist. I think that, like, him and a lot of the people in that sphere are basically just very, you know how, like, 2010s and 2000s internet humor and aesthetics are, like, an identity these days? Like, there are people who, like, adhere to a certain aesthetic and sense of humor of, like, different eras of internet culture that they found to be their favorite or they grew up in. These guys seem to have, like, stuck their sort of, like, aesthetic and their humor and stuff very much in 2016 YouTube, but unironically. And I'm not saying this is an insult. I'm saying this is a reiteration of what they have said themselves. They miss the 2016 era of YouTube and wish it was back. Now, there were a lot of nice things about that era of YouTube, to be fair. It was a good time to be a YouTuber, especially if you were trying to make money off the platform. But, yeah, there was also a lot of bad stuff about it. And so, as you can imagine, while they aren't really explicitly right-leaning or anything like that, they don't really have right-leaning values as far as I've been able to glean. And I'm pretty good at seeing through if someone's lying to me about their politics. I don't think they've lied to me about their politics. They don't seem to be transphobic. They don't seem to be racist, homophobic, even, like, maybe a little sexist. In the sense they've got, like, what's that, like, sort of, like, internalized misogyny, like, that's sort of just there due to upbringing and sort of, like, you know, they're politically disaffected. I won't make excuses for any of their behavior. My point is basically to say I have talked to them before, and that is the political values I've been able to glean. For your sakes, if you want to know what my evaluation is, if that matters to you. What's this link?
So I haven't sent anything.
If I recall correctly, this isn't the interview one. This is... Oh, okay. Okay, this is from 2 days ago. My bad. My bad. Apparently we were looking at the wrong video. I'm sorry. I don't watch a lot of Nicholas Deorio. I was under the impression it was that new stream with the Mamamax thumbnail. Apparently this is it. All right. This is the interview. Let's check it out.
Because Nick has not signed
I've got it sped
Can you
up.
send it directly to Mutahar?
Well, if these are public, then we just want to see the public showcase.
Muta, you gotta sign the super NDA to get the secret chat.
With everything else that I've seen
slow
from
it down.
other hunters, like, it didn't matter what anyone else had to say, he doubled down.
I have gotten approval from every single one of them for everything I've shown. And for
So
everything
for
I'm
all of
doing.
the nothing that
And
you've
for
shown, you've got
everything I'm
everyone's
doing,
approval.
I've been getting their approval. Nicholas, we asked you to platform us after you platformed counter narratives and you refused.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It looks like today we'll be giving the people what they want. My name's Nicholas Deorio. Hopefully you've seen my 2 videos on Mamamax. One dropped last week and the other one dropped today.
Okay, where's Nicholas Day dipshit? Okay, why would you not make that announcement and then end the video here and then make a second 30-minute video and release it the next day on, like, YouTube Premiere? You could have milked that so much harder. We got big content strategy problems here, Nick. Okay, send me an email. I'll help you maximize your money, all right?
If you have watched those videos, this is probably something you've been looking forward to. If not, I recommend you watch both of those videos before watching this. It will provide you the context you need to understand what's going on here. This is not entirely the raw call. I've gone ahead.
Okay, for a little bit of background on this situation, because I don't know how thoroughly Nick is going to recap everything, my understanding of everything is that initially, there was basically a lot of criticism over... There's always been criticism over the way that Mamamax does his videos, as there's always been criticism against all pedo hunter YouTubers. As much as their content type is very entertaining, I mean, I think we all have a weak spot for justice porn content. content meant to sort of satiate that desire to see bad people who do bad things get like what's coming to them, and just to be able to like watch that sort of karma play out. And there's no group that deserves karma more when it comes to like your desire to see justice brought about than, you know, those that would try to hurt children, especially in a sexual sense, because that's, you know, seen and felt by most people to be particularly heinous. So with that in mind, people like Mamamax and other content creators that engage in this sort of pedo hunting content, predator poaching content, whatever you want to call it, while many of the people who make this content certainly may have good intentions, many others are just clout chasing, like grifters, right? They're just trying to make money. Now, if their actions still resulted in justice really being brought about at the end of the day, I wouldn't mind this. I wouldn't be too upset about the motivations behind those that are going out and stopping, you know, predators and pedophiles. The problem is that there is a massive trend of these same creators not just doing this for the sake of making money, but doing so and it hurting any ability for actual law enforcement to pursue genuine legal action against these predators. So it's entertaining content, and it makes the people making said content a lot of money, but overwhelmingly, any YouTuber getting involved with a criminal investigation, if there is one or is going to be one, of a child predator, making a video about it, trying to get a bunch of people involved, is going to hurt the case, if there ever was one that was going to happen, way more than it's going to help it. The fact is, these people who make content about this stuff while the case is undergoing, while it's all still happening, before it's all been finalized and justice has been meted out, they are not in it to help anyone. Now, for a long time, Max made his videos under the preconception that while he did try to work with police when he could, it was mostly about exposing people, more so than saying, I am out to like catch these predators and get justice and get them like arrested. This is about exposing people who you guys didn't know were a predator, and I got the evidence, right? And there have been many cases in which Max has done so, as far as I'm aware, and done so effectively to a lot of people's enjoyment. However, the way he does this has always garnered a small amount of criticism, in that his videos are edited in a very cringy, over-the-top way. He gets really edgy and, like, threatens violence against the predators in the videos, something that really hurts any chances of any legal justice coming about. He makes, like, jokes about how he's going to hire hitmen to kill these guys to look like an internet tough guy. And it became very clear to a lot of people, a long time ago it would seem, that his content was mostly centered around virtue signaling, how bad predators are and how good of a person he is for like hunting and exposing them, while saying the only way to protect more people from getting hurt is to donate to his Patreon. However, all this criticism really came to a head when he put out a video accusing someone of running a vampire werewolf god cult and abusing several minors, multiple of which he claims have been officially missing for quite a long time, but in doing so provides literally no evidence. Like, he literally provides no evidence for this and just kind of makes an over-edited, hyper-dramatic, like, video accusing this person of being a pedophilic cult leader, but provides no evidence in the video while doing so. This is what sort of caused the large brunt of criticism to come about, and the rest of the criticisms you're going to see and the other ones I brought up are all kind of what became more popular to get talked about after his accusing of this guy with very sparse evidence of being a predator. Now, I'm sure there's much more that's going to be talked about here, but that is my understanding of the main focus of all of this. That and he has also been exposed and admitted multiple times to falsifying evidence and just making up victims and making up entire stories in the past. So he's also been exposed for that, and that's also kind of he's nuked. He's done. His career is over. He is getting the Illuminati treatment. He's getting it rough.
And boosted audio levels to make it a bit easier.
Remember, guys, the spiked dildo of consequences rarely arrives lubed.
to listen to, and I've also removed any mention to a specific girl that's currently working with Mutahar. Now, I've told you in the previous video, Mutahar is working with the girls trying to help them get a conviction against who they claim is their abuser. In this case, I've removed this stuff not out of request by Max or Spencer, but because I'm trying to do the right thing in regards to that person. Last week I said any threat will be met with this call dropping, and it seems like eagle-eyed viewers were waiting and ready for when that was going to happen. That is today, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy. I'm getting a spinning thingy, but I'm not hearing you.
I think he's muted right now.
Hello.
Hey,
We're
what's up?
trying to get our camera on.
Sorry.
No problem at all.
Unless we just want to do audio.
Yeah, you guys can get your camera on right now. We're
Perfectly
just
fine.
Here. Transit.
Max, even your entrance to Discord is cryptic.
I guess so.
Okay, so we all right. So this is a call where we're gonna just basically talk about this entire story, front, middle, and end. Get to basically what the facts are of the situation, describe everything. So we're gonna ask some invasive questions. We're going to ask some questions regarding the cult. We're going to ask some questions regarding Spencer, the entire story from you. We're going to talk about, some of the criticisms that you guys have been receiving over this. And obviously, we're going to be covering the nature of this coverage so far, right? From your guys' end and, well, from everyone's end, really. The point of this is...
My understanding is the reaction from Mamamax and his team of, people that he's got supporting him behind the scenes after all of this has been to false privacy takedown request shit tons of YouTubers who've made videos critical of him. This very video might get taken down because of a false privacy request from his team. He's been abusing the privacy system, which very well might get him banned from YouTube if YouTube does their job, because he is doing a no tolerance TOS breaking. He's using YouTube's tools to hurt other content creators. That is a no tolerance thing according to YouTube's rules. So we'll see whether or not they uphold those rules and, ban him. But I think he's false privacy takedown requested Nick Deorio already, as well as I think Boblax and maybe a couple other people. Take that with a grain of salt. I've just seen on Twitter multiple, I think Muda might have also gotten hit with one. I've just seen multiple big YouTubers posting on Twitter that their coverage of Mamamax has been privacy request takedown falsely. And it's a bunch of YouTubers all at once across the board, actual personal takedown requests from Mamamax. So yeah, it seems like he has kind of had a super meltdown after all this. I have a feeling that this interview doesn't go too well for him. Who is this guy? This guy is big. Mamamax is, close to 1 million subs before this drama went down. He's obviously losing subs rapidly now because he's been exposed and, he's in deep shit. But regardless, that doesn't really seem doesn't really seem like he's going to be that big a deal soon. This is his downfall. He's getting the Illuminati treatment, as I said before.
For me to personally establish what actually happened, right? Because I think we all can agree that given the current presentation from you, Max, we all really don't know much other than Camden Gerard Davis, a cult, which the name is still hazy for all of us to pick up on, and what exactly happened, I think we all can understand that a 4-hour podcast may be a little bit too much for most of the audience to truly sift through. So my goal is to just condense the story down into something that is understandable by the grand majority, and also to discuss the proof that absolutely...
Good shit, Muda. Keeping the meat of the entire conversation to the beginning of it all, so we don't have to watch like he said 4 hours of back and forth before we get to the real juicy important stuff. Your sound is crackling. It is? Chat, how's my audio? Is that just Dark Canuck experiencing that, or is anyone else experiencing audio crack? Is my audio crunchy, cracky, making weird noises? Fine for me. Did it do that? Audio's okay. It's good. Fine for me too. That might just be on your end, the Dark Canuck. You might have something wrong with your speakers or headphones or whatever audio device you're using. It's a YouTube bug? Okay, apparently it's a bug for YouTube. Try reloading the stream, maybe. That could fix it. I think it's just on YouTube's end. Good to know. Thank you for saying that, though. Nonetheless, I appreciate you telling me that, because if it was happening and chat was being silent about it, I would want at least one person to tell me so I could fix it. I appreciate it. If there's any issues with my audio or video or anything like that that needs to be fixed, fucking spam me until I acknowledge it, because I want to know.
Absolutely vilifies Camden, right? Because this is, again, a big question you guys have. So I'm going to be doing a lot of devil's advocacy. I'm going to be doing a lot of, due diligence, as I always do in a case like this. And yeah, so we all get to start, guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I just ask one thing before we begin?
Okay.
Sure.
Um, sorry, my notes have disappeared. Okay. Um, can either of you or both of you share your current understanding of our campaign and its objectives?
Uh, Nick, you want to start?
Sure. So the way I understand it, based off of the 3 videos, the condensed version of the stream that I saw, and multiple live streams, is that Spencer reached out to you to investigate this specific scenario. You're currently trying to get as many people who are involved in the Camden Gerard Davis thing together, so you can take this case directly to his local police department. And through that, you're hoping to go through a criminal case, because the civil case wouldn't be possible since you don't believe he has very much there. So your idea was to create a video that attracted a lot of YouTubers that they could watch on streams. I think one of the things you said is it could have been a good like Halloween watch, where it would discuss cults, the impact content creators have on other youth, on the youth and stuff like that. The second video and third videos also pointed to the discussion about how like specific scenarios, I guess like Spencer's, are outshined by celebrity gossip and drama, similar to Sniper Wolf, and you try to use that.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so another thing that this guy did was he put out a video in which he asked his audience to spam the comments and social media of a list of, like, the biggest YouTubers out there, asking them to boost his video going against this cult, and that if they didn't do so, if, like, any YouTubers remained silent after they did that, then their silence would speak volumes about their position on like stopping predators. So he basically made a video in which he told his audience, go spam the biggest YouTubers and guilt them into boosting my content. And if any of them don't, then then you know they must be pro pedophilia. He made that's a video that he made unironically with no shame or guilt, and that's also gotten him a lot of heat as well.
Angle to mix with this story to create some sort of viral piece that would allow you to get access to more potential victims, or survivors rather, that you could use to help build your case and take it directly to Camden. Is that about right?
That's about right.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's generally what I have to say as well. Yeah, that's what it is. I thought that it was a viral stunt on not a stunt. That's the bad way to put it. A viral video on basically you guys spreading awareness on an individual and leveraging the audiences, larger audiences, and trying to identify victims in amongst those large online audiences. That's where I kind of got into it. But yeah. So, is there any other question you want to ask us? I know you said there was a lot of there was a few questions you wanted to ask me. But I feel like we should just get those out of the way.
Yeah. Well, we can do that all later. Let's just get right into the important stuff. Do I need to be watching this stream? It's
Not
loading.
at
No,
this
it's not
point.
live. We're not. What do you
No.
mean?
If we need to pull up a clip, and you can, I don't know if you can hear. Let me just test. Can you hear audio, even if it's not loading verbally?
Fuck you. I survived.
Did
I
you
can
hear
hear
that?
that.
Oh, there you, okay, yeah, I can hear.
All right. So in case we need to share audio or a clip from this specific interview, we have access to do that. But otherwise,
Okay.
we have no plans at this moment to use it.
Okay,
No.
sounds good.
So I guess the thing is we should. So one of the criticisms that everyone, me specifically, well, I would say I had is, this is a case where I have not seen, I guess you could say, ironclad evidence, right? And you guys know what I mean by that, like just something that is definitively going to hold up in a courtroom and absolutely have this person with the Fed show up at their door tomorrow, you know? And I understand that evidence can be, a lot of people weigh evidence differently. Like some people will look at a Discord screenshot, some people will look at a
Mamamax is no doubt going to say he can't provide that evidence for legal reasons, but the fact is that if he was actually pursuing any legal action here that was ever going to go anywhere, he never would have made this all public in the first place. The fact that he put out that video and has made like an internet spectacle of this situation massively harms any possible legal action that could be taken by the authorities. So the fact is that he could have either A, never made the video, waited for all this to be sorted out by the authorities if he truly is working with them, which I'm sure he's going to use as an excuse and say he is in a moment as a response to that. And if that's the case, then he should never have made the video in the first place. This never would have been drama if he didn't make that video with sparse, non-existent evidence, I should say, with such inflammatory claims. And if he is working with police and can't show that evidence because it's, you know, working with the law, then he shouldn't have made the video at all. And if he's not working with the law, then that's his first mistake. He shouldn't have made the video at all regardless, if it was going to exist that way. There's no universe in which that type of video and this type of handling of the situation is justifiable if he's going to be working with legal authorities.
Twitter DM or anything of that nature. I have a rule myself. I've always had this rule where unless I can fire up the server myself and pull the actual piece of data, I tend to believe that screenshots have a degree of doubt attached to them, right? Because of how easy things can be nowadays to fake or whatever.
True.
That also being said, you guys use the term human trafficking, am I right? When it came to Camden's cult operation, right?
Yes, he had attempted to traffic me when I was living with him. And the reason that I went into foster care in the first place was because I physically fought back. If you did watch any of the podcast, Camden did try to kill me at one point. He was chasing me with the stone vase, trying to hit me with it. And in that situation, he pinned me against the wall, and I had managed to get the vase away from him, but then he pinned me against the wall, and I guess adrenaline kicked in and I picked him up and threw him into the wall. And after that, it was like about a week after that he made me go in foster care.
Just for clarity, human trafficking being a term that can mean a whole slew of different things, from trying to send you overseas to like crossing state lines. You know what I mean? Can you be a bit more descriptive what you mean by like he was trying to human traffic me?
By that, I mean he was on Whisper physically looking for men that wanted to sleep with me.
Okay.
And was trying to force me into doing that.
Okay.
And,
was he attempting to send you across the state lines to meet these men?
Not to send me across the state line.
I'm sorry, like, she picked him up and threw him into a wall? Like, if this story is true, and Mamamax isn't a liar, and this is all true, then, I mean, for one, holy shit, I don't know how she would have done that. With enough adrenaline, you can do anything. I guess it's plausible. If true, very impressive. That's for sure.
But he lured me over state lines in the first place from Texas to Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, the thing about human trafficking is one of the easiest ways that we prove human trafficking usually is through receipt of travel. And through your podcast and your various interviews, you took an Uber ride. You had a bus, right, that you took from your route. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, it was from Wiley to Dallas, Texas. You took an Uber. And from Dallas's bus station, you went to Memphis, Tennessee. And from Memphis, you then went to Atlanta, right? And
No. From Dallas, I stopped in Little Rock, Arkansas. There was no ticket bought for me for that. I just convinced my way onto it. But this guy told me that he would get me my ticket to Georgia, and he took me to his cousin's place where he sexually assaulted me, and then they dumped me at the bus station. I had to stay inside of the station I was at. Like right behind it, there was a recovery center for homeless people, and one of the security guards pulled his truck outside of the gate so I could sleep in it, so I could wait for the next bus. Managed to convince my way onto that bus. Then I went to Memphis, and then stayed there a week. Camden had Jess, the girl in Australia, buy the ticket and send it to me so I could get on the bus from Tennessee to Georgia. And then he picked me up from the station in Atlanta and took me to Lilburn.
And from the week that you stayed in Memphis, where was that exactly? I believe you were saying you stayed with somebody else.
It was about, I want to say maybe a 10-minute walk from the bus station. And I remember the guy's name. I really need to, I've been trying to get into contact with him for the past few years to thank him. But yeah, I stayed with him for a week, and then he walked me to the bus station when I did leave, and he saw me off.
Okay. Where did you meet this person? Was it like a friend or a friend, family, or something of that nature?
I was being stupid again, but I saw his teeth, and I was like, oh, thank God. I was like, hey, do you have a cigarette? And we went outside, and we smoked cigarettes together, and he was like, you remind me a lot of my daughter. And yeah, he mostly just went to work and let me chill at his place and watch movies.
And you were 16 at this point, correct?
Yeah, I told him I was 18.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And this entire time, I was still in contact with Camden.
Okay. And so when you got to Georgia, where did you initially stay? Did you immediately move in with him, or what happened?
Yeah, so after I got to Atlanta, somebody let me borrow their phone so I could call Camden. He came and picked me up, and he his mom was at work, so he went into the house. He opened his window and like pushed um the screen out because his brother was still home.
Okay.
And I climbed in through the window, and immediately he initiated sex.
Okay. At the time, what was the age gap between you meeting Camden and what was the age gap roughly?
Uh, I want to say 2.5 years because his birthday's in December.
So throughout the entire time you were speaking, this be it on social media or in person, he was 18 and you were 16.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So you lived with Camden for how long, roughly?
I want to say maybe 3, 4 months.
Okay. All right. So 3, 4 months. Okay.
And how many other people were living in that house?
It was just his mom and his brother at the time, but there was a point where he had me on Whisper trying to look for other teenagers that wanted to run away from home, and we found a girl that was like 13 or 14. I'm pretty sure she was 14.
Dude, I really hope all this isn't true, because if it is, then Mamamax is the worst possible person to be handling this situation. I really, really hope the police are involved at the very least. And I hope, like, instead of just throwing the case out because their handling of all of this has made the case untouchable in court, maybe, God forbid, like, they just put their foot down and just say, hey, you got to stop this. We are doing an investigation here. You got to stop what you're doing. You're hurting our case. I really wish it wasn't Mamamax handling the situation if it is legit. If it is real, it's fucking crazy. Yeah. Absolutely horrific if it's real. With this, he has no case. There's no, like, legal case that he actually has. The weird thing is, I don't know why he would make a big video then if there's no evidence for a legal case, for one. Because this guy's not, like, a big figure online or anything. I believe the guy's most recent presence on the internet was a Facebook post from 2013 or something. Like, literally almost a decade old Facebook post was his last, like, public activity online that could be found. So it's like, we're really not talking about someone who's, like, someone on the internet or in any big platform space. If you honestly want to know, I can double check for the video I watched that explains the entire ordeal with this. Yeah, I'm fine with you giving me extra info, Maddie Kitten. I prefer that. Yeah. Yeah, the more info, the better. Even if it's somewhat spoilery. I don't know if we're going to be able to watch this whole 2-hour, 42-minute thing. So, yeah, I appreciate some of the end info.
And we used Kai's, I think, grandma's Uber account, and we went and we picked this girl up, and she stayed with us for one.
Like, to be clear, this stuff absolutely happens, and it absolutely happens, like, in the public eye, too. Who remembers Onision and the entire drama that happened with him? At least from what I remember, I don't think he provably did anything with minors or anything like that, but he was absolutely coercing, like, much younger women that were, you know, let's just say very emotionally stunted and like, maturity-wise, not very developed. Basically, like, people who were, like, girls who were functionally, like, 16-year-olds mentally in the body of, like, 19-year-olds he would go after, who had like never really like left the house and left home or done anything without their parents for any serious like amount of time. He would like groom these women in and bring them in, allegedly, and bring them into his house. And I think like allegedly one of them claimed like he locked them up in the basement. Like, yeah, this stuff definitely happens. It's definitely real. So I'm not denying that, and I'm not even trying to throw denial at this person's story, because it's all very plausible, and it all sounds very realistic to me so far. But my big question is, why is this like a big video thing then? Especially if the police aren't getting involved. He doesn't even have enough evidence to make a legal case or to go to the police about it.
One night, and he tried to convince me to convince her to.
Fake fan, he was going to put her in the basement? Ah, I see. Okay, apparently Onision allegedly was going to put one of his partners into the basement.
To have sex with him, and I kept refusing. And
He tried convincing you to convince this 13-year-old girl?
yes,
Okay. So you found this 13-year-old girl on Whisper, and you organized her travel through Kai's the grandmother's Uber account, right?
not with her permission.
Okay.
We were logged into it previously when they allowed us to use it to go over to Kai's place.
I don't imagine that we have a receipt of that, right?
I don't think so, because that's the same grandmother that let Kai's grandpa sexually assault her.
Okay.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I was
one more
like,
thing. So for the people in the house, let's say the brother and the mother, are they aware that you were 16?
His brother knew I was there. I don't know if he knew how old I was. I don't think he really cared either way. He was mostly either at school or off smoking with his friends.
Mm-hmm. And the mother?
He was primarily at work. I primarily hid most of the time when she was there. Either that or I would sleep during the day while she was home.
She was
And
unaware
then
that you were there for 4 months.
Yeah.
Okay.
Was it a
and-
large house by any chance?
I mean, I considered it pretty decently big.
How many floors?
It was just one story, but she had like a huge bedroom with a lot of shit in it, so it was like pretty soundproof in there, and I know because
Wait, how is that even possible? I will say the circumstances of this, like, human trafficking sound very... It sounds more like teenagers running away together so far than it does like than it does like obviously the age gap is problematic, though I'm pretty sure legal in some states, though I don't think it should be. Personally, like, I've been 16 and I've been 18, and 18-year-old me looked back at 16-year-old me as like a little baby fetus nobody, you know? So I don't think that level of an age gap should be defended. But like, I don't know, 18 would definitely be pretty early to get into sex trafficking. Like, so far, I mean, we haven't heard the whole story. A lot of it sounds plausible, some things less so, some things sound very contrived, or not contrived, what's the word for it? Complicated, just overly complicated. Especially for how much stuff happened and how little evidence there is. It's just weird. It's a weird story.
and I had to walk through there when he was stealing stuff out of the walk-in closet in her bathroom to sell.
How many bedrooms? How many bathrooms? Just so we can get like a better picture.
3. It's 2 regular beds, and then a master bed with a bath, and then another bath.
Okay, understood.
Okay. And that's obviously like one of the things that people have been kind of asking. It's like, so you lived in their house for, again, just reclarification, 4 months? You lived with him?
Yeah, about 3.5, 4.
Okay, so 3.5, 4 months, and obviously, I think people are going to ask, it's like, how was it done clandestinely, right? But, at any moment, was it just you living in the house? How many total victims at any given moment were living in that house?
The only other person we had was that 13-year-old girl, and after she wanted to go home the night after, I was like, I'm not picking up anyone else like this.
Okay. All right. So you lived with him for a while. What got you out? At what point did this relationship dissolute and you had to get out? What was that? What did that look like?
It was about a week after I had fought back when he had tried to kill me. Um, and he like woke me up and was like, "Leviathans are coming for you. You need to get out now. You need to get all your stuff. We need to get out now."
Mhm.
And I walked down to the gazebo at the end of his neighborhood with him. And he was like, "Yeah, here's this phone. It didn't have service, but you know, all phones can still call 911."
Yeah.
So he was like, "Use that, call them."
That's not true. I'm sure in this case it was probably true, where the phone could still call 911, but that's not true. You do not have emergency services available on your phone no matter what and no matter where. In some cases, if you're so let's say you have a this is important, like I know this is a bit of a stun lock, but this is important for you guys to know regardless. Let's say you have a phone and it's with like AT&T, I guess. That's just the only example I can think of, and you've got no service in an area and you need to call 911. You can call 911 in some circumstances, and even though you have zero service, like cell service where you are, you may still get a call, but that is only if you have connection to another company's cell towers. So there may be a Verizon cell tower nearby and you don't have a Verizon service, so you can't like use their service to call someone or text or anything like that. But legally, you have to be able to call 911. Actually, in states, it is legally required to have 911 abilities. No. It is if there is service, and you may not have service on your phone with your provider, but you may have service from another provider's tower nearby. And if you can access that tower's service at all, you can only do it for a 911 or emergency related service call. So it's not that like the non-existence of data still allows you to call 911. It's that any data from any service whatsoever still lets you call 911, even if you don't have that service. So if you're really in the middle of fucking nowhere, you're screwed. But if you're like in the middle of nowhere, but there's still one cell tower, no matter what, you should still be able to use it. Even if it has no service with your provider. That's how that works. Just so you guys have that important info for the future. If you're really lost in the middle of nowhere and you can't get any signal from any service, then you'll be really fucked. But yeah.
And go into foster care. Don't go back to Texas because your family will physically abuse you if you do. You won't be safe with them. You have to stay in Georgia so I can protect you. So I used that phone and I called 911, and an officer did come out and he got me and everything. And while he was like sitting there taking notes, Camden had walked back out to the gazebo and was just acting as if I was just some random homeless girl that was just sleeping in that gazebo, and he was bringing me food.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And one of the important things that I want to ask you about too. So when you were living with Camden for 3 to 4 months, was you talked about pregnancies as well and your miscarriages. Can you give us the rough timelines of those
Jesus.
pregnancies? Obviously, I know exact dates are pretty outrageous to ask, so just a rough outline of, the pregnancies and the miscarriages you went through during that time.
So the first miscarriage was actually from the assault in Little Rock. Um, Camden forced me to drink a bunch of orange juice, kept giving me vitamin C and cinnamon and beating me and everything. And um, I think that was about, I want to say I'd been there for about 3 weeks already.
How did you know you were pregnant?
Because I got pretty sick and I couldn't figure out why. And then I realized my period was late.
Okay.
But you never took like a formal test?
He wouldn't let me.
Okay.
Okay. Do you know the rough month and year of that first miscarriage?
Um, I know it was in 2016. It had to have been sometime maybe in April.
Okay. And then obviously your first miscarriage, and what happens is he basically forces you, in your words, to take orange juice, a lot of vitamin C, physical abuse in order to induce a miscarriage.
Yeah.
Okay. And then so after that first miscarriage, when was the second time that you had been?
Does drinking a ton of orange juice cause a miscarriage or something? What the fuck? Did I hear that wrong? Is that real? I mean, obviously this person in the story, like Camden, if this is all true, is a deranged person. So, regardless, does orange juice cause miscarriages? I heard today that drinking a lot of orange juice in early pregnancy can cause a miscarriage, and later on in pregnancy, large amounts of vitamin C is bad for baby. I googled this and found a ton of info on miscarriages from women who did too much vitamin C or drank too much orange juice. I know Google's not always right. I just found it. Blah, blah, blah. Never heard that. I drink OJ religiously. Body dumps whatever it doesn't use. So this is like a baby raising board that seems to disagree with that. 4 types of drinks that can cause miscarriage. This is just a tabloid. Can we get a .org or .edu link, please? Okay, so this is a cps.gov.uk article. This is the only like official thing that seems to have anything about that. Yeah, it doesn't sound right that vitamin C could like result in, because you need vitamin C. It's very valuable to your body for a lot of reasons, and some of them involve building cells and building like parts of your body. Like for example, vitamin C, like I've got a scar on my wrist. I've got like a scar on my forehead. I've got a couple scars in my body. Vitamin C is what is used to create scar tissue. It's actually different than your normal skin and the rest of your like flesh and other tissue. And that tissue can literally dissolve away if you get a vitamin C deficiency. It's like one of the starting symptoms of scurvy is that any scar tissue you have literally melts, and like you like your skin starts to fall apart because of it. It's pretty nightmarish. Like you definitely need to have that. But this story is about a man being convicted of spiking his pregnant girlfriend's drink in order to cause a miscarriage. At least his girlfriend's drink orange juice with mifepristone, a drug commonly used to induce abortions. So he laced orange juice, not the orange juice was meant to do it. Okay, so it seems like there's no actual like science behind that. Maybe the guy's just deranged, if this is true.
Pregnant and went through another miscarriage. Because I believe you list, I don't know exactly how much, I got to look through my notes again, but you have it in your podcast. I made a point of it just so I can get an idea of like how often.
Yeah, vitamin deficiencies will definitely cause a miscarriage. I don't feel like a lot will.
His sexual abuse is going on, you
know? Unfortunately, you can get pregnant again 2 weeks after a miscarriage, so I did end up getting pregnant. Pretty soon after that first miscarriage. Same thing happened, got super fucking sick.
Link it, Maddie Kitten.
My body was like killing me pretty much because he was starving me as well. And
depriving you of food?
Like literally not allowing me to eat for extended periods.
Okay.
Like forcing me to fast for like 3 days at a time.
And were you still there because like you didn't have anywhere else to go, or?
Because I had Stockholm syndrome at that point. I didn't know it, but.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's plausible.
So one of the things that we always like kind of ask is when there is a psychiatric diagnosis.
It's not what they mean by service, Sam. They mean no phone plan. Well, that too. Like whether you have a phone plan or not, and whether or not if you have like, that still applies. That's still what I'm talking about. Whether you have like active service running on your phone or you can get bars at all, like that, what I said still applies.
In this case, I assume you were diagnosed by a medical professional. Did you see any medical professional at all during this stay in Georgia?
Not while I was living with Camden. I didn't go to doctors until after my last miscarriage, which I got about 3 months along on that one, and I did take a pregnancy test on that one, and it was literally right before I was getting moved from my foster parents to a group home. He told me to come out and see him, so I had to find a way to do that. And when I got there, we were outside of his house, and he told me, "Hey, I have to teach you how to fight again." That's usually what he'd do when he'd start beating me.
He was
And
giving you combat training or something.
yeah, saying that I needed to learn so I could quote unquote protect myself. But he started beating me, and he saw me trying to cover my stomach, and that's when he like pushed me to the ground and like held my hands up and just wailed on my stomach. And I didn't go to the doctor for it, but that period was the absolute fucking worst.
And this, I assume, is the third and final miscarriage, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to try to throw doubt into such a horrific story, but can I just say, Spencer earlier said that they disarmed and then proceeded to pick up and throw Camden into a wall at one point in the future, supposedly because of adrenaline, right? Very impressive if that's true. But now we're hearing that he pinned both of their arms and proceeded to wail on their stomach. Now, to give you an idea of how that would have to work, that means one arm/hand is holding both of her, or their, I don't know what pronoun Spencer uses, but she, her, they, them, I don't know, I'm going to go with they, them, holding their arms up, I don't know where, probably above their head, and then punching with the other arm. Listen, I've done jujitsu, which was the last time I've been in a situation like this, besides, sex, but, holding someone's arms, both arms, with one hand is already quite difficult. To get your hand and, do that and, hold it, then to, actually hold it, I could only imagine, when they're actually trying to get loose, very difficult. That does sound, while plausible, both of those things happening seems weird, that at one moment he's got the strength to hold both of her arms down with one hand, and the next moment she's got the strength to pick him up and throw him into a wall after disarming him. It's, I don't like throwing doubt into stories like this, because if it's true, then, I would feel fucking monstrous for doing so, but it's kind of impossible for me to ignore.
All right. So total 3 miscarriages. This one went 3 months along.
Yeah.
And did you get a DNC done by any chance by a medical professional?
I did not. I didn't know to ask for one.
It's just so
She could have been paralyzed by fear during this particular event. You're definitely not wrong. That's definitely possible. I didn't account for that. Generally, in situations where I have been hit, I respond, either by trying to protect myself by any means necessary, and if my arms were being held or something, I would definitely, do everything in my power to get them unencumbered, But obviously everybody has different reactions. Some people have fight, some people have flight, some have ball up and just, take it and try to ride it out. So yeah, it's hard to say, whether or not that's, a smoking gun, right?
The thing about the DNC is, this is where the doubt gets cast, is usually after a 3-month term, and I'm speaking, this isn't me saying it, this is my aunt, who is a medical professional, one of the best gynecologists. This is my wife, who's a nurse. And obviously my mother, she's been through pregnancy, she's had her miscarriages. The thing about a DNC is, if you don't get it done, there's no way to prove that, obviously, the entire fetus has been removed, and the risk for infection is almost guaranteed at that point. So that's where a bit of, obviously, I'm sure you've read the Reddit, I'm sure you've read the people critical of the situation, and this is a big sticking point for them. And obviously, I'm bringing this up because I'm always trying to find a reasonable explanation. And
that is a good point. What is the rate of survival for miscarriages without professional medical care? Because, I've seen a lot of survival watch The Walking Dead or something. Pregnancies are scary in that show because, what if a pregnant woman in their group miscarries? It's over. It's treated as if there is no coming back from that, if that goes down. So what is the rate of survival? Rate of survival for untreated miscarriages. Watch it be 0. I mean, obviously fetal loss rate. this isn't what I'm looking for. Pregnancy-associated death and record linkage studies relative to delivery, termination of pregnancy, and natural losses, a systemic review with a narrative synthesis and meta-analysis. Oh shit, this is exactly what I need. So natural losses is what we're looking for. Results. Holy shit. This is super data. Like, you know how there's data? Like, we bring up data and it's like, wow, that's some data right there. Like, that's some actual fucking data. Then you get super data that's, like, impossible for a layman to even interpret. I don't remember what N means when it comes to statistics. This means something, though. This is super data. This is hieroglyphics data. If I scroll further, maybe I get something a little more interpretable. Okay, so this is a table. Okay, here we go. 1-year mortality rates for miscarriage. 51% in Finland and Denmark from 1980 to 2004. 51%, or just in Finland, sorry, not Denmark. Just in Finland from 1984 to 2000, 51.9 women per year died from miscarriage. 57 from no pregnancy and prior... Wait, is... All death certificates examined and linked to medical records to identify any pregnancies in the prior year. Number of deaths per 100,000 women in designated group. Okay, so per 100,000 women, 51.9 died of miscarriage from 1984 to 2000. So yeah, it looks like miscarriages... I mean, that doesn't really tell you what percentage of miscarriages are deadly, though, does it? It just tells you that people die, like a fair amount of women die of miscarriages. And it is one of the larger things on the chart in regards to, like, birth-related death. Sorry. This data is incomprehensible. I'm sorry. I'm not big brain enough to interpret it.
Maybe that's why I asked you if you met a medical professional. Maybe they had done something on you and given you a bill of health or told you that everything was fine. That's where it gets a little, dicey.
I mean, I did go to a gynecologist once when I was in the group home. That was after the miscarriage. It was about a month after. And I was like, hey, can you check to see if I have PCOS or something? Because, I didn't realize that miscarriages had fucked my periods.
Yeah.
So, they did the intrauteral 3D ultrasound to check everything out, and there was nothing there.
Okay. So wait, so you didn't go to a doctor or anything? I thought before you said that after the third miscarriage you did. Was that what you were talking about with the gynecologist, or?
Yes, so that's the only doctor I went to, but I didn't go to one like right after the miscarriage. I was too scared to, because Camden kept telling me, if you go to a doctor, they're gonna find out about all of this. They're gonna find out about the supernatural. They're gonna find out about God. They're gonna find out about everything. You need to keep this under wraps. You can't tell anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Can you so it's great that you mentioned about like this God and everything, and Camden bringing the supernatural. At the time, you were 16 or 17 when you guys were discussing these religious things.
Cult traits, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
So 16, 17. And so he made you believe that this was... Exactly what is the supernatural here? Like, let's just try to understand that.
Did you hear any of the lore of
I heard
everything?
about the Adams and the Eves and
Okay.
The Avatar people. It's just... I would just honestly would
It
like...
sounds like he pulled from a lot of sci-fi. I think that's also something
He
that Max
really
series
did.
with. Yeah.
A lot of sci-fi, a lot of supernatural shows, like Supernatural itself, Teen Wolf and all that. But majority of this was he kept saying that he was the son of God and everything, and God could possess him and talk through him, and soon enough it grew into, well, now the archangels can speak through me, now Lucifer can speak through me, and he would make all of the best way I can describe it is faking DID.
Okay.
There are definitely people who are like severely mentally ill that behave this way, so plausible.
He would like sit there and give each entity their own like personality. Like Lucifer was just this fucking flamboyant gay dude, and he was like quote unquote my best friend and everything. And he would like do that so that you had what you thought were other people to talk to, so you weren't just with him, so you weren't quote unquote isolated.
So a lot of Christianity, a lot of the tropes from there. And so one of the things I want to ask you is like your mental state at the time. What led you, in your opinion, to easily be manipulated? And again, I'm just going to state it for the record. I was 16 and 1.2, and I'm sure most people were. When we hear that, it, at least to me, it comes off as readily.
Yeah, 16-year-olds are absurdly dumb. Like you can't even fathom how dumb they are. They can't fathom how dumb they are.
Apparent the guy's a fucking nut job, you know? Like, I'm not going to believe that personally. I wouldn't have believed that at 16. So that's why I'm asking what your mental state was like at the time. What led you to be easily suggested by what many assume to be outlandish, you know?
So I had what I would call ghost experiences, maybe. And he would kind of play into that. My mental state honestly was not the greatest. The year prior, I had actually attempted suicide stupidly with a fucking belt. It didn't happen. The fucking belt broke. The next day I had one of my, because I was living with my fifth cousin and his wife, and they were mentally abusive towards me. So I had my friend's mom take me to the police station that was just down the road, and I filed a CPS report and put myself in a mental hospital. And then I came back to Wiley, where I failed the school year, did summer school. Then I met Carrie, the girl that introduced me to Camden, and I think I met him in February of 2016. So I wasn't doing all that well. I had been lashing out and really arguing with my family because I wasn't okay. The only time my dad ever took me back to try and seek mental help, they didn't make him leave the room, and they basically just said, "Oh, she's just a disobedient kid." And
Really? That was where, I guess?
this was probably in the DFW area. I don't know if it was in Allen or Dallas.
No, not like specific location. Like, was this, what kind of mental health professional is that, I guess?
Oh, I don't know. When they checked me out of the mental hospital, when I was with my fifth cousin and his wife, they just said, "Oh, here, since you're going back to Wiley, here, do a follow up here," and that's all it really was. I didn't know
like a therapist,
exactly what
or?
it was. I wasn't even allowed to talk at it.
Oh, okay.
Before we
Okay. Oh god, I hate having life experience and having to pull from it for content. But like when I was in high school, okay, I knew a girl who basically like a surprising amount of the shit that this person has said is like almost exactly the same as what this girl when I was in high school told me happened to her. A lot of it, in hindsight, looking back at it with like the mind of an adult, I know definitely was bullshit. You know, I was like 16 at the time, ironically, so, you know, there was a lot of stuff there that only a 16-year-old would believe at the time, but then a lot of it was just like later very much proven false by just time passing and certain things not happening that would have happened. But I knew this girl, and she would lie about a lot of horrible shit happening to her. And a lot of the examples that, like, she gave me are, like, identical to what this girl has said here, which I just can't get out of my head. I can't, like, shake that from my memory, and I can't shake that thought from my head, down to, like, the attempting to hang themselves in the closet with a belt and the belt breaking, which I question the belt breaking. Belts are strong, dude. Like, they're strong. They can handle a lot. Like, I would literally take off my belt as a kid and, like, wrap it around a tree branch and, like, swing from it on, like, the playground. They're pretty strong. I don't know. It could have happened. I once tried the exhaust of a car up with the belt with the brackets rusted through. It held for a week before I had to properly fix it. Yeah, I mean, the belts are strong. They're not like if it's an actual leather or synthetic leather one, they're very strong. And you can also get like cloth belts too, which you would think would be weaker, but they're way stronger. They won't rip like those leather ones will under like really bad stress and bad treatment. Yeah, there are shitty cheap ones I'm sure you could probably rip, I suppose. But yeah, like a heavy duty actual leather belt will not break, nor will a cloth belt. I guarantee it. Yeah, like a cloth one is very strong too. Like arguably stronger than a leather one maybe, because I feel like you could tear leather maybe. I don't know.
Before we move on to the next question, I'd also like to say, and I have interviews with the cult psychologists, they want everyone to know that no one is immune to thought reform, which is popularly known as brainwashing. Cult leaders utilize social persuasion, and all it takes is a perfect storm of circumstances for someone to fall for it. Even if the beliefs are outlandish, people will do foolish things if there's an entire community of people love bombing you. I just want to make that clear. And Mutahar, if you want the interviews that I did with the cult psychologists, I will send them to you.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. So
That feels so like empty. Like I will send you an interview I did with a cult psychologist that'll back up that cults use social manipulation and social engineering to groom people. It's like no fucking shit. No one here is disagreeing with that. Is that like trying to change the point of discussion? What is the necessity of that point? Like, yeah, no, we all know that. We're all very familiar. Especially Nicholas Deorio and Muta are very familiar with that fact. I mean, I don't know if Nick has, but I know Muta has done a significant amount of deep web, like deep dark web, deep dive videos.
So okay. After all of this, the Camden situation, once you thankfully got out of that situation, you made it back to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, or Wiley, I assume?
Yes.
How did that happen?
When I was in the group home, there was a specific worker that was mentally abusive towards a lot of us. She would intentionally, like, just kind of push us until we would snap because, you know, all of us are mentally ill fucking kids that had fucked up situations and we're all there. We don't want to be. And it just got so fucking bad to the point where I literally asked one of my classmates if I could borrow their phone to call my family because I wasn't allowed to call my family alone. Like, we were only allowed to call family twice a week. You would get 1 10-minute call, 2 5-minute calls, or you could separate it up, but you were only permitted 5 minutes or 10 minutes. And so they would sit there, and if you said anything bad about the group home, you got punished. Like, you would get privileges taken away. Like, you wouldn't be allowed to watch TV, or you wouldn't be allowed to participate in games or anything. Like,
do you know what our group home this was?
It was Rainbow Group Home in Dahlonega, Georgia. I went to high school.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Rainbow. What was it? Rainbow
Children's Home. Rainbow Home for Girls or something. I don't know.
So, not to jump ahead.
Oh, we don't have a solid name. Okay, hold on. We're doing the research. Rainbow Children's Home, Georgia. Does this place have like a Yelp or like a Google reviews page? Holy shit! Can we look at the Google reviews? Rainbow Children's Home. 3.8 stars out of 5 on Google. This is from a year ago. I saw a review that said staff take advantage of the rules and DFCS policies. This is extremely true. If they are mad at you, they will do anything to take points. The point system is a way to maintain behavior there, however. If you lose more than just 2 little points, you can't go on trips or have fun with any of the other girls there. That's a huge disadvantage for the kids there due to the points being taken. So this is reviews from years ago, by the way, like a year ago, this one at least, that backs up this story about this place being fucked up. Due to points being taken just because you want to sit outside a little longer than they'd like. I really don't understand why the staff members think it's okay to tell a 16-year-old girl they can't sit outside, because it's not like we have our phones or computers or video games or any other form of entertainment besides a radio that barely gets signals. Even one time I had points taken because I looked up Gainesville Capital when me and the staff member were talking about it. I proved her wrong and she got mad and took my points. I wasn't allowed to go out that week, and I've never seen such an abuse of power. If you currently reside there, do not let any staff cook because they will use all the pots and pans just to make steak with green beans as a keto-friendly meal. And then when you complain that the sink is full of pots and pans not even needed for the meal, or if they ask for help to clean it up, or if you ask for help to clean it up, they will yell at you and take your points. They say they want to give people an opportunity to be successful, but they can't even help a child clean up a mess they made. Do better. This guy says, great organization, great staff. That's a newer comment. 4 years ago, 1 star. My sister was here and it was absolutely horrible. The food had mold, and when I came to visit her, we had to sit out in the raining cold and was watched the entire time. This place honestly takes advantage of the rules and even makes up things to tell the girls that aren't true. They told my sister she had no human rights in DFCS. This place is horrible. That's 4 years ago, by the way. 4 years ago. This is from 5 years ago. 1 star. Staff are disrespectful. Very unfunctional place. It's like a jail for kids. I was there for a month, and my daughter came to have a visit with me. She was only 5 months old, and they said she was not allowed in the house. She had to be DFAX approved. I had to have my visitation in the freezing cold in the dark. That's crazy, because isn't this like a group home for girls that have been abused? Why does she not have her daughter? Like, is she the abuser? From what I've heard, this is another 1 star from 4 years ago. From what I've heard, this place has bugs under the beds, and the staff are really terrible, and they take advantage of the DFCS rules. I guess DFCS has some rules about, like, if a kid is abused, they have to be put into the house or something. I don't know how that system works in, like, Georgia. This is Brianna Irwin from 4 years ago, said staff are rude, nasty, and disrespectful. Very unfunctional group home. It's like a jail for kids. Oh, we already read that one. Oh, no. This is a new one describing it as a jail for kids. I did not reread the same one. It's like a jail for kids. Literally have kids from jail and child services come here. I was happy when I left. Never, ever, ever again. Another 5 star, not sure about it, but I know someone there now who I hope is being a kid with no adult issues at all. 5 stars, best of the wishes when it comes to compassion. People here really care about those they help. They spelled wrong. Blank 5 star, blank 5 star, blank 5 star, blank 5 star. Yeah, almost every review that doesn't have like a canned bot response is a 1 star review telling a horror story, much like what was described here. So hey, literally like almost half a decade going back, 1 star reviews repeating the same basic story as Spencer's saying here about this group home. So I'm going to be real. As far as the group home is concerned, I fully believe the story. Because I'm seeing evidence that goes back far before this whole discourse was a thing, before the story came out, backing that up. Now, it is possible, conceivably, that this could still be fake, but, like, that is definitely, I feel, well supported, that part of the story.
Ed here, but I know you ended up going to the police about Camden at some point. Where on the timeline does that fall?
That would be the September of 2017. When one of the members, I can't remember what alias she's going under right now, but she had a Wattpad story from recruitment because that we were told to like post stuff like that on Wattpad and Amino and stuff.
What is Wattpad? Like just a chatting app?
Wattpad is like stories.
Like a Snapchat story or like a Tumblr
No,
blog?
it's like vanilla archive of our own.
Okay.
Yeah. So, somebody had commented on the recruitment story post, and they were asking about it, and we were like, no, do not join. This is literally a cult. And Q Camden, Carrie, and all his other little lackeys coming in, yelling at us and everything. My sister was 4 at the time, and her life was threatened by Carrie. And one of the other members, I don't know exactly who it was, but they were saying that they wanted to slit our throats and everything. We had actual threats coming through. I asked said survivor tonight, actually, I'm waiting for her response, if the post is still up and she has access to it. But if she doesn't, I told her to check her email and see if she still has the notifications from it.
Now, by this point, we're approximately 1 year out from when you left there. Because you said if the miscarriages and stuff happened around April, you're only there for 4 months. September of the following year, we're like a year and a couple months, right?
Yeah.
Now, have any other girls moved in with Camden? Are these interactions strictly online? Is he like physically involved with any other women at that point?
After I left, he well, not even after I left, while I was still in the cult, but not. I was still in while I was in Wiley. I didn't leave until 4th.
I'm gonna be real, this doesn't really sound like much of a cult, more so just a mentally ill man on the internet grooming minors and, like, derangedly ranting to them. Like, they're definitely pushing cult-like messaging, but, like, I feel like there's a big difference between a cult and a schizo weirdo just, like, emotionally and physically abusing with their mental illness, like, 1 or 2 people. That is domestic violence and domestic abuse, not a cult. Like, I haven't heard any, like, references to, like, 5s or 10s of people getting abused like this. Like, that's what I would think of. Cult, abusive group home, what the fuck did I miss? We're going over the Mamamax drama. The abusive group home stuff is separate from the cult. But yeah, I haven't seen any evidence that there was, like, a cult. It just sounds like domestic abuse and grooming from a psycho, which is not the same as a cult. Like, some cults never even break into the 20 members zone. Yeah, but, like, so far I've heard 3 people involved in this story. 3 people a cult does not make, my friends. I'm sorry. 3 people is not a cult.
4th of July of 2017. But I'm sorry, my brain is frazzled. What was I saying?
So you were saying that you'd left around the 4th of July, and we were kind of discussing on whether if there were other people who were living with him around that point.
Okay, yeah. So before I had even came back to Wiley, he had started this relationship with a girl named and
Is she, like,
3.
speaking to you guys, or is that just...
oh no, she is still with him. She is living with him. She is one of his quote unquote wives.
Okay.
With 2 other women.
Okay.
Okay, there's a fair amount more involved.
Okay, so after your relationship was done, you communicated with the police.
Sounds fairly
Davis.
culty.
What can you explain that whole interaction with the police?
It wasn't even full on with the police. I contacted Detective Fontana, who was on my case, and
Did you get a badge number?
I did not. That was just what was on my missing flyers. My family was like, we were working with him. Maybe I could try and see if they could get into contact with him.
I can also send you all the uncensored missing flyers poster.
Yeah, sure. If you want to drop it into the Discord, we can just look at it. But yeah, so okay, you contacted Detective Fontana. She worked your case, and
I want to see if there's any, like, because, like, a missing persons case, do we have Spencer's last name? Because I can just Google right now, like, that name, whatever state, like, she went missing from, and, like, look up missing persons. A 16-year-old going missing and, like, police investigation being done leads to an Amber Alert. Like, the most aggressive form of getting that info out there that you can possibly get. I could just search the first and last name and find if this is someone who legitimately went missing when they were 16 back then. If that name comes up and that, like, a relatively similar picture comes up for, like, an Amber Alert from years ago, then that's pretty solid evidence that would be, pretty unfalsifiable, I would say, because you're not even getting it from you're not getting it from Max. It's not a screenshot. It's a publicly available history of a missing child. Like, that's going to have left its mark on the internet. There'll be evidence of that for sure. You just need a name and a state. And honestly, maybe not even a year, but if you can get a year too, then you'll nail it down in seconds.
I don't know if they, like, really worked my case, but when I told them I had gone over state lines, they were like, that's out of our hands now, and just threw me over to Trafficking 911, who they took all of my information and said that they were going to file a report. For a couple months, I did still keep a contact with Sherry from Trafficking 911, who took my report. I still don't know if they ever filed it. I've been trying to contact them. Sherry doesn't work there anymore. The worker that I keep emailing, she won't she won't respond. Nobody will really respond to Max, and when they do, they're like, oh well, it has to be her contacting, and it's like,
And she's a good contact.
I am contacting, but they're replying to him, but not me.
And they're replying to me just to say they can't give it to me. They would have to give it to her. Even
Yeah.
if I sent them a picture of her holding up her driver's license requesting the info.
Okay, so do you have a record of communication with the department that we can see?
The deputy?
Yeah, whoever you were speaking to, that would. So, from what we understand, okay. So you contacted Detective Fontana. You communicated with Traffic 911. Is that the nonprofit?
Yes.
Okay, and this Traffic 911. So you never filed an official report with the police department itself. You went to Traffic 911, and they were supposed to assist you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Until
You have-
recently.
Okay, so do you have the? Did you get a name from them or an email address or something? Or
Yes.
okay.
We have the phone number of Nancy, who was the original person. She no longer works with Traffic
Not
911.
Nancy, Sherry.
Sherry, sorry. She was the one who was on Spencer's case. She no longer works with Traffic 911. She instructed me to just contact them directly. I've been contacting them directly and sent them the picture with Spencer holding up her driver's license. They say they can't give it to me. So Spencer's been contacting them and they've been unresponsive.
That's Traffic 911, not the police department.
Correct.
Yes.
The police department, we have a recorded phone call of that if you want to hear it.
With Baldwin County PD.
I would like to hear that.
Okay, and this was in relation. This was so. So the thing that I'm trying to understand is after this whole Camden Gerard Davis situation, the first communication you had was with the police, right? And that was Detective Fontana, who was underneath your that's what I'm trying to understand. Traffic 911 is a nonprofit. I'm just trying to understand the nature of you guys and your first interaction with the police. I'm sorry if I'm not
Here,
getting it confused.
honestly, we don't even have to send you the flyer. Just look up missing poster on Google and it'll pop up.
Missing poster. Okay, so this is from Missing and Homeless Facebook. I see it right here. Since March 18, 2016. So this missing poster, who do you know who got this poster out there in the first place?
I believe.
Okay, but a poster, an image of a poster can be fake. I don't. Hold on. Spencer missing 2016. No, that is definitely not her. No, 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 no. Missing poster is the full name on that? I won't say the name out loud if we're not trying to dox. Nothing's coming up. I searched Spencer missing poster 2016 maybe, and we can see the missing poster. No, 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 nope. Nothing comes up. Granted, Google Images is literally useless these days. It's been ruined by AI. But no, I don't see any missing poster coming up on Google, notably. And without a first and last name, if I had a first and last name, I've got the year, I could easily find the big internet footprint that would be left behind by the story of a 16-year-old girl going missing. That would have left a big footprint. Also, and I don't want to bring race into the situation, but we know how media coverage tends to be when it comes to its bias towards coverage of missing women in particular. She was a 16-year-old missing white girl. It would have left an internet footprint, okay? First and last name, all we need. Are we sure Spencer is not the last name? It could be, but apparently this missing poster exists somewhere online, and I assume would include first and last name, right?
I believe it was probably my aunt. I don't know.
Okay, so your aunt was the one that initially tipped off the organization. I think it's For the One or whatever, and they're the ones that put this out. So when you got out of the Camden household, this is after the group home, right? Because you went into a group home just after you left the house, Camden's house.
Yes, this missing poster is from the day that I ran away to go to Camden.
Okay, so this has existed since you were Ubering to Dallas Fort Worth and then the buses to Arkansas, Memphis, the whole route. Okay, so.
Yeah.
And what I'm asking is so after the whole Camden situation, you lived there for 4 months after the group home. Is that after you communicated with the law enforcement for the first time?
Can you repeat the question?
So after the Camden situation, his house, when you lived there for 4 months, 3 to 4 months, you went to a group home very briefly. How long was that stay at the group home?
Well, first I went to foster
If anyone can get me an image of the poster, especially if there's like an uncensored version of it, like if there's like a version that's censored that censors out the full name, if you can get one that shows the full name, I would appreciate it, because I want to try to do my own on-stream search here. Because I mean, I don't really feel like I've seen anybody cover. I've seen no one bring up the fact that the group home that she mentioned here has an almost 5-year history of reviews of people backing up the story about it being abusive. And granted, that is only one component of the story unrelated to the cult thing, but it is a component of the story that there is evidence of that exists outside of any of them, with no ability to have been tampered, no ability, like not even provided by them. Evidence that exists outside of them going back years that backs up that story. So at least that part of the story. So that's definitely a point in her and Mamamax's side of things. I'm gonna look for it. I appreciate that. Thank you. I hate vertigo. I also hate vertigo. I have very bad vertigo. My biggest fear by a long shot is heights.
Parents that were in Snellville, where I was still in contact with him and still saw him occasionally. September was when I got sent to the group home, and then I went home a week before Thanksgiving.
Okay. So after Camden, you went to a foster home briefly in the Georgian area. Foster home in Georgia, then a group home. And I assume you went there since September, so I'm going to say 2 months, for 2 months, yeah? Okay, so you went there for 2 months, and then after that, you went all the way back to Texas. And went to Texas. And so at this point in time, you hadn't contacted the police department at all. The only interaction you had with the police was when Camden was bringing you out food, pretending you were a homeless person.
Yeah.
Okay. So
to be clear, rape and sexual assault, unless severe injuries are left behind, are extraordinarily hard to prove, especially DNA evidence. I believe it's called a rape kit. If you are one-minded in getting justice after like a rape, the thing you want to do right away, particularly if you're a cis woman and it was like vaginal penetration rape, is you want to go to a hospital and report that you have been raped and have a rape kit performed, because that will not only prove you've been raped, but you can also get I believe DNA testing done on, your stuff. The sooner the better, because if you wait too long, notably vaginas have self-cleaning capabilities, and that will self-clean away the evidence. And if one of the big things that a long-term abuser will do is prevent their victim from going to the hospital and getting that type of evidence, right? So yeah, if you can get to a hospital and get a rape kit, and get the DNA processing, get the proof that you were raped, then that is going to be the best possible thing you can do to help you, besides fucking record it, which, I mean, that's not practical. But if you can get away and get to a hospital, that's the first thing you do. And you call the cops while you're in the hospital, I guess. But, get to the hospital and get a kit as soon as possible so you can have strong evidence for the police.
So, I just out of curiosity...
And get a lawyer.
Spencer, specifically, do you believe in this investigation that was done, the police had failed you?
Yeah, I believe that, Detective Fontana...
Actually, if you're ever calling the cops, unless, the cops are immediately needed, call your lawyer first. Unless it's, a really nothing situation you're calling the cops for, that and does not involve you and will not, negatively impact you. If you're calling the cops to press charges or any type of situation like that, get a lawyer. If you can, get a lawyer. If you have a lawyer, get in contact with your lawyer. It's just good to have them.
Should have been able to help me more.
Yeah, the hospital will file a police report,
yes. Been able to get me directly into contact with whoever they were filing this to. I didn't know exactly what I was supposed to do. I was 18.
Right. So where I was going with this is, obviously when you got back to Texas, then you contacted Traffic 911, not the police department, right?
It was since I'd left on 4th of July, I reported this in September because of the whole Wattpad thing where Carrie was threatening my sister because of Camden.
September, when you were in the group home, you reported this to the police.
And this is 2016 or 17?
Wait, in the group...
You said you reported this when you were in September?
No. The September of 2017.
Okay.
So the year after. So this is after I've already been in Texas. I was freshly 18, and me and the other survivor had seen that notification where someone asked about the cult, and we said, no, it's a cult. And yeah, after I saw the threat to my sister, that night I contacted Detective Fontana.
So when you came back from Texas, from Camden's house, how many months after did you get in touch with Detective Fontana?
From my last personal contact with him, that's just from uh beginning of July to early September.
I realize Fontana is a real last name, but Fontana is one of the detectives from Law and Order. No shot. Is it SVU? Is it Law and Order SVU? Law and Order Fontana. No, it's just normal normal Law and Order homicide detective. It would be way more on the nose if it was a fucking Law and Order SVU character, because that's specifically the type of crime. This type of crime, if you know, if it's real, is the type of crime that show focuses on. So it'd be like, that's a little fishy if that was the case.
And which police department was seeing this with that detective?
I'm pretty sure it's Collin County. At least that's what it says on the flyer.
Okay.
Okay, so you contacted the law enforcement agent, I want to say 12 months after you got back to Texas.
Like, missing posters are not like the way that this is handled exclusively. There would be another, like, more of a footprint. So, yeah, link it. I hate Vertigo. I want to see. I have unique hatred for Law and Order SVU. I haven't watched it since I was a kid, but I remember I preferred it to the other Law and Orders, which sounds fucked up, but it was the most exciting one as far as action goes. Like, it was like some episodes were just a straight up action movie, while like normal Law and Order and Law and Order Criminal Intent, at least from what I saw of it, like half the episode is in court. 1/3 of an episode of Law and Order SVU would be in court, and like that's satisfying and all. But what was even more satisfying is the hunt for the predator, right? And so, I don't know. I always thought Law and Order SVU was more entertaining. And I mean, I was a kid, you know? So seeing pedophiles get hunted down and fed the justice dildo down their throat was very entertaining, you know?
Texas, right? Because you said a year later, this is in 2017, so it's safe to say that you contacted law enforcement for the first time 12 months after you got back to Texas after your whole ordeal.
Yeah.
And that was you contacting Detective Fontana of Collins County, right?
Call in. Just call in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Collin
So Collin County, and where's Collin County located? Texas?
It's right.
Okay, hold on. Let me check something. Oh, man. I can see why people are calling bullshit. Because I searched the exact name. And nothing comes up. No official articles, posts, history, or internet footprint at all about this 16-year-old girl who went missing back in 2016. And all we have to back that up is a missing poster. Like, posters were put up, but there's no internet footprint based on what Google is showing. In order to show you the most relevant results, we have omitted some entries very similar to the 10 already displayed. If you like, we can repeat the search with the omitted results included. Okay, let's do that. There's literally nothing more. Man. That's a rough scene, dude. That's a really rough scene. There is no history that doesn't involve this drama, like Know Your Meme on Camden Gerard Davis. This would have had to have made a internet footprint. Yeah, dude, that's fishy as fuck. That's real fishy. That's real fishy that a 16-year-old white girl went missing and it didn't make a fucking whisper on all of the internet that can still be found to this day. That is an enigma. Not impossible, not unheard of. Like, actually, technically, it would be unheard of, you know, by the nature of it. But, you know, definitely possible. I can't even find the poster online to link it just to have a screenshot from his video. I just have a screenshot from his video. Dude, that's so fishy. There's the only evidence at all is a screenshot of a missing poster from his video. Dude, it's so sketchy. It's so fucking sketchy that anything that would exist that would prove this story happened outside of like the abusive group home doesn't exist where it should.
Right out of DFW.
Northeast of DFW.
Okay, northeast DFW. That's it. Northeast DFW. Okay. So when you contacted Detective Fontana, right? What was that initial conversation like?
It was, hey, this is me. This is my name. You were looking for me when I had ran away. This is kind of sort of what happened. I got lured over state lines, ended up being sexually and physically abused by this person. How do I report this? And he was like, well, not my jurisdiction. Here's for the one, or not for the one, trafficking 911. Or no, he did send me to for the one. For the one sent me to trafficking 911. Oh, these cunts!
Okay, so the law enforcement agent told you that because it wasn't their jurisdiction to report so you went missing in Georgia, therefore the Texas police officer could not do anything because it's out of their jurisdiction. They didn't refer you to communicate with the law enforcement agent in that specific county for Georgia?
No, he said that this isn't a state case, this is a federal case. He said I can't do anything about that.
So in that response, so the cop told you it was a federal issue because I'm assuming you went across state lines, so anything that happens there, it's a federal situation. But instead of contacting something like the Federal Bureau of Investigation, one of their branches in Texas, he told you to contact a nonprofit.
Yeah, because he was like, they have all these people, they're
Couldn't, like, that doesn't make sense. Wouldn't they refer you to... I've only spoken to the police over phone once. I've only made one, like, police call once, like, in my life, and it was not too long ago when I was walking to the dispensary with my mom, and we saw, like, what I'm pretty sure was, like, a fight between two homeless people that was about to break out, but one of the people was, like, a bigger dude in, like, a reflective construction worker vest, and the other person was, like, a lady in a hoodie that was, you know, brought up over her head, and she had a big dog with her, which, you know, if the guy was going to attack her, I figured the dog would protect her, but, he was, like, up in her face, you know, just, like, nose to nose with her, doing that kind of, like, I'm gonna fuck you up, I'm gonna fuck, like, that silent, that, like, quiet whisper threat kind of thing, and you could just tell from his body language and his face from across the street, like, what he was doing. It was very clear. There was no ambiguity to what I was witnessing, and, I called the cops because of that, and I asked for the non-emergency line, and they just port you right over to that. Like with a click, you know? So I don't feel like they would just immediately tell you go deal with, like, go talk to a nonprofit. If you report a crime, I'm pretty sure they would send you to whoever's jurisdiction it is relevant to, right? I'm pretty sure it's like grounds for suspension for a police officer to be made aware of a crime and not investigate. Like, if you make, say, a report of, like, a suspicious bag somewhere, the cops have to come check it out. And if they don't, like, if you can get evidence of them not doing so, like, that's a big deal. Like, they're supposed to do that. Like, I know if that's the case, then I feel like, at the very least, what's being alleged here effectively is that an officer needs to be fired. Because, like, like, just not doing anything after having a crime reported to them is not, like, allowed. It generally depends on the police department. Yeah, but that's not allowed. You'd be surprised I had a concussion and an EMT just told me to take it easy and drove off. Is that before or after you said you didn't have insurance? To be fair, you know, like, and he couldn't pay. The truck is proving deliberate inaction. They can just as easily say, I was dispatched to another call. I suppose, yeah. Nothing comes up with a reverse image search for the poster. Oof. Yeah, I know you meant Trick.
Advocates, they'll help you with this since you're so young, and this is going to be really traumatizing. Like, he told me to reach out to them for this support.
So they told you to reach out for the support, but did they specifically say that's where you're going to make your report and they're going to do it?
Yeah. He said that they can file the report for you. They can take all the evidence and send it for you. Because he couldn't touch the evidence, is what he said.
At no point did the cop ever try, you know, maybe referring the case to the Federal Bureau office in Texas or the Dallas area?
I don't know. It was literally at night when I was calling him. I think he just wanted to get off the phone at that point.
Okay. Yeah, that's
Wait, why would you call once at night? Like, have the opinion like, oh, I think you just want to get off the phone quickly and that be it. Like, why not call again and re-report it? I went to the police station in, what's it called? It's not Seattle. It's, Bellevue, I think. I went to the police station in Bellevue to get my concealed pistol license for here in Washington. That's where you get, like, your fingerprint taken and fill out, like, the last bit of paperwork and get your, like, thing eventually printed out and sent to you. And I went there, and there was this guy who was... You would look at him, and you would say, well, that's a crazy person, just based off how he's dressed and the look of him. But I'm sitting there, waiting for my turn to go in and get fingerprinted and get my, like, concealed pistol license stuff done, and this guy is up at the front desk of the police station rambling about the most psychotic shit ever. The guy is rambling about how the mayor of Bellevue is trying to kill him, and that he's gone to the police station a dozen times already, and every time they tell him to leave, because he goes there regularly to have a schizo rant to the police at the counter about how the mayor of the town is trying to kill him and they need to do something about it. I witnessed his, like, 14th visit there, and oh my god, dude, I have never in my life had to try so hard not to laugh, okay? Because this is an actual fucking crazy guy who is clearly capable of violence that is, like, just ranting to these cops about, like, and the cops are behind bulletproof glass and a desk. I'm the only one waiting in the waiting room at this point, and it's just this guy, like, 8 feet away from me who is crazy enough to rant almost borderline violently to cops. Like, he's yelling and he's pushy, and this lady cop's, like, being so nice and so, like working with him. I think she might have already knew who he was and knew he was crazy. Like, that lady cop could have so easily gotten out from behind that desk, pulled out her gun, and arrested him right there. So easily she could have done that. And that's how it could have gone down. Instead, she was so fucking nice to him as I just sat there and just, like, desperately tried to keep my laughing in as this guy went on the most... I wish I could remember everything that he said. It was he thought that the mayor was trying to poison him. Like, that was the crux of it, was that that he thought the mayor was trying to poison him, and that, like, he brought, like, a pamphlet for the mayor's election, I think, like the mayor's campaign run that had been left on his door, and said, "Look, she's stalking me." I know the story sounds made up, And I don't fault you if you think I'm lying right now, but I swear to God I witnessed this, and I had to just keep my head down, look at my phone, and hold my goddamn breath to keep myself from laughing, because I was sure if I laughed, the guy would turn around and attack me. But all I'm saying is, like, you can be persistent with the police if you've had a crime committed against you, and they don't, in your initial report, take it seriously. Yeah.
See, and again, this is where I said in the beginning of this I was going to do the devil's advocate stuff, is usually when a law enforcement agent can make the distinction that it's not their jurisdiction, but then they said it's federal, their next answer should not be a nonprofit organization, because, you know, nonprofits, law enforcement can work with them, but usually if they're out there to make a distinction between whose jurisdiction this is, they would probably refer you to the FBI, which does in fact work with a lot of kidnapping, a lot of human trafficking cases. It's actually one of the, they're the primary chief investigative agency when it comes to that in the United States. So that's where, again, just me obviously playing devil's advocate and obviously covering this as objective as I can, that's where it can be tough, right, to sort of understand. The cop made this distinction. It really seems like, you know, I wish I could honestly hear this call, or this, I really wish this was done over email or something, and we would have seen the law enforcement agents do that, but you know. So you went to Traffic 911, and they're the ones who were supposed to do this for you. So after you had made your initial report with them, what happened after that?
Well, Sherry and another worker from Trafficking 911 drove all the way out to Wiley. They picked me up from my house, and we drove to the coffee shop, Shoemaker and Hart on Ballard Street in Wiley. And they had their little laptops and their notebooks and everything, and I was telling them everything from start to finish, to literally to the extent of, hey, one of the other members of this group that I was really close with, she was convinced to send nudes and then was later blackmailed with them. Like, I told them everything, gave them every photo, every screenshot, everything that we had. Of course, we were young. We didn't know what to screenshot, what was pertinent. We didn't know we should record calls. And
so you sent child pornography across the internet, right? Because you were under 18.
I didn't send any pornography myself, but Camden did record a video of him and myself when I was 16.
That feels like a little bit of a weird question, because like that felt like an attempt to try to incriminate her by getting her to admit that when she was under 18, she sent nudes of herself to an adult or to anyone, which legally would count as distribution of child pornography, even if that child is you sending your own nudes to your same age as you, like, partner, right? That's, like, been a case before where, like, teenagers get in legal trouble for sending nudes to each other. I don't like that sort of implication, like, are you saying you sent nudes when you were a minor? Are you saying you sent child porn? And it's like, I mean, technically that's what that would be in that scenario, and teenagers are doing that by the millions every day. But I think we all agree that's a very different thing than, like, you know, yeah, it feels like a weird question, like, especially when under this circumstance, this is a person who at the time was a minor that was groomed by an adult, presumably, allegedly, into sending those nudes. Just feels like a weird... it feels more like... I know Muda, so I imagine the question is more so like, so you are claiming that Camden Gerard Davis received child pornography from you? But that question is legally incriminating towards her, even if she was a minor, even if she was groomed, for some level of legal trouble, right? That's a question that in a context like this, I would avoid. At least avoid wording it that way. You know, I don't know. It just feels like a weird question to me. And I'm generally speaking, I'm on Muda's side on this one, but that was a bit of a weird question, IMO.
Living with him, I know that's probably still floating around out there.
So if you were an unwilling participant in child pornography, why did you report that to the law enforcement agent at the time? Like, did you report that to Traffic 911? Did you report that to...
I reported that to Traffic 911. I talked about it to the detective too, and like I said, he still said, not my jurisdiction.
We also have screenshots of her chatting with Sherry from Traffic 911.
Okay, now, see, this is again where I'm just going to straight up say it. If you told Detective Fontana that there was evidence of child pornography and you were the victim, they would never, they would immediately have thrown you to the Federal Bureau right there, because again, it's child pornography, and they would absolutely
It depends on the officer. I can attest to this. I have reported the distribution of CP to law enforcement, and
it's plausible. I mean, yeah, it's definitely plausible that some officers are just shitheads that don't do their job well, or even do their job like beyond poorly. Right now, there's a really big story about a investigator or like district attorney, something along those lines. His name's like something Pascal. He had the nickname the Closer back in the 90s, I believe it was, when he was part of a big New York City organized crime dismantling effort where he had like record levels of convictions. Not Pedro Pascal, thank God. But he had record levels of convictions under his belt. I think he was an investigator. And just recently, a few of his victims, a few of the people he had convicted who have been in prison for like decades ended up having mistrials or having like appeals where they were able to bring new evidence to the table that basically fully showed their innocence. And not only that, but the guilt of this Pascal guy, this Detective Pascal guy, the Closer as they called him, of outright falsifying the evidence and gaining a false confession out of him. And after a few people came forward and were able to prove this in court and get their sentences ended, this led to a full-on federal investigation of every single conviction that he made and found that like 128 or like 140 of them, something like that, of his like 200 and something convictions have all been found provably to be false. Like, there are dozens upon dozens upon dozens of people right now who have served decades-long sentences and had decades more ahead of them that were rotting in prison for crimes they didn't commit. That this guy who was just up until like a month ago a national celebrity within the criminal justice world has been outed as a massive fraud who put hundreds of innocent people away to improve his own career. Like, and that's just one guy. So, I mean, it's plausible that one shitty detective, one shitty officer could handle the situation this badly. But, you know, that would be an extreme case. And I'm not saying those extreme cases don't exist, but it would be an extreme case.
even when I was in contact with the police on the phone, they kept saying, that's not my jurisdiction, go to this one. I would call that one. They said, this is not my jurisdiction, call federal. I report it through CyberTip and the FBI page, and nothing would ever happen. We received.
But Max, you have to admit, like, you're saying you talked to the detective in person, right, Spencer? You said that there's child pornography of you floating around. That's a little different than, like, I found this hub online.
I didn't say that to him in person. We didn't speak in person. Like I said, it was over the phone.
But yeah, you're saying you're having like a one-on-one interaction.
I mean, yeah, but like I said, all he said is that's not my jurisdiction. I was 18. I don't know the legal system like that.
Oh no, I'm not blaming you. Please don't take it that way. I was like pointing out that like there's a difference between Max, who is hunting pedophiles and providing evidence to try to get people thrown in jail, and like a girl talking to an officer directly.
Yeah. Because that's one of the big things. That should have been like a big red flag when you guys were talking about this. I feel like initially in your video, if you had told us that, hey, I talked to Detective Fontana, and I told Detective Fontana that there is evidence of child pornography, and she did not follow that up with the Federal Bureau, because that's the thing.
I'm gonna be honest, the biggest red flag in the fucking universe around this to me is that we now have, like, I was provided with Spencer's full name. I have the year and date that Spencer went missing, supposedly. And I searched all of that info. 10 results came up on Google. 2 of them are like one of them is like a blog post about this drama, from like a blogger talking about this stuff. Another is a Know Your Meme post about Camden Gerard Davis, like a Know Your Meme entry. The site about, like, it's like Wikipedia for memes. And everything else is like I skimmed pretty thoroughly. None of the names in any of the other, like, 8 results were the same as Spencer's. A 16-year-old white girl going missing for years leaves an internet footprint. It just does. Missing posters, and an image of a missing poster that doesn't exist online outside of Max's video, I don't see it. I don't see it. It doesn't seem realistic to me. It doesn't vibe with my current understanding of how things like that tend to go.
Federal Bureau immediately takes that 100% to heart. And it goes beyond, like, this isn't like writing a cyber tip line or something. This is an actual verifiable human being talking to another verifiable human being who then has to, basically is compelled to write a report. Otherwise, everything falls on their shoulders, and that department itself too, if it's not adequately reported.
And that's why we say we are willing to sue, like, the law enforcement agencies for failing them, because we know there has been neglect for this case specifically.
Okay. So have you guys communicated to the Federal Bureau now about child pornography existing? You being a
Yes,
victim?
I've filed tips on the website that on like the actual FBI website.
That was given to us by one of the lawyers who specializes in cults.
Other survivors have done it as well, including the.
To be clear, I have heard stories about the FBI handling shit like this really badly. Like horrifically badly. I don't have proof for it, obviously, nor to the person who told this story, but it wasn't a context where they would have a reason to lie about this. It was like just a very chill podcast context where the person was telling a story about some fucked up shit that happened. I forget what their name was. I think it was Drifter. Maybe someone like that went on a podcast and described a story in which his Discord got hate rated by like 4chaners or something like that, and they started spamming gore and child pornography in his Discord, and while reporting his Discord to try to get it banned. It's a pretty common tactic 4chan uses. It's very believable. And that when he went to the FBI, he called the FBI to report what had happened, that a group of people had raided his online space and like mass posted child pornography as a way of harassment, and that this was a crime that he wanted to report and you know, have something done about. That their response, according to him, was that he needed to collect evidence, like screenshot evidence of the posts in his Discord and send it to a designated like email or number or something along those lines. Basically telling him, you have to archive and sort through child pornography and then send it to us for us to even begin to do anything about it. Now, that sounds pretty fucking crazy. Like, that does not... Like, I heard that and I was like, that can't be real. But I've heard other similar stories as well on top of that. And if those stories are true, then there's some plausibility to the idea that they just didn't care about this. To be fair, a lot of shit like this happens all the time, and it would make sense if this massive institution just hand waves a shit ton of cases, and we don't even know about it.
The other one who, Ishmael, the one who also was solicited pictures from because she was 14.
Is this a copy? Look at my last chat. It looks like they copied a real case. Missing Desparacida from Jessup, Georgia. Shelby O'Brien, age 16. His last name December 7, 2014 in Jessup, Georgia. She's... I mean, different date, same age, different town in Georgia. It's possible they were inspired by this, but like this is what kept coming up when I was searching for this info. Or for any info on Spencer being missing. This particular story came up a couple times, but not the same person. And I feel like claiming they just straight up ripped another person's story is pretty harsh. But like, I will say there is no evidence so far of her ever having been officially missing, legally speaking. Jesus fucking Christ, the segment's been going on for nearly 2 hours now. Guys, I didn't realize you hated it so much when I streamed. I'm so sorry. I'll stream less. I'll do shorter and less segments if you guys really insist. I thought you guys liked it when I streamed and did long segments, long streams, lots of content, but yeah, apparently I'm wrong. Well, thanks for letting me know, Scapegoat.
We've been trying now. I mean, I mean, it's kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't at this point because it's been so long.
But this section has been redacted for reasons listed earlier. Okay, doc stuff, I guess.
Was his quote unquote main wife. She was a senior,
I was
and
just joking,
he had
chat.
already been graduated. This was like right after I had come back to Texas, and I didn't even know about this specific group of people, but he apparently did have a whole group in person, and the people living with him are members of the cult. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 people total living there.
So
Okay, so, and just one thing too, this is jumping ahead a little bit, we'll go back. Camden owns firearms as well too, as he leads his cult.
Yes.
So he's currently armed and dangerous?
Yes.
A threat
He's
to human
attempted
beings?
murder.
He's literally attempted murder and had the 2 men living with him commit crimes for him.
Is there any booking or
Yes.
document of it?
Yes, smash and grab.
So this is Muta. There is a evidence chat that you cannot see that is only for the survivors. We are currently we have a private channel and a public channel. The private channel is specifically things we want to wait to show.
There is evidence of crimes that were committed and the money was gotten for him. All 3 of his
So my understanding is Mamamax's, okay, being as steel manny for Mamamax as possible, he made his video in an attempt to throw out a wide net to get the attention of any other victims of Camden Gerard Davis so that they could come to him and provide their stories and evidence to him for this secret chat full of just absolutely verifiable, indisputable evidence that all this is true that we can't see, though, for a legal case that is, you know, apparently not possible because the police have at every turn, you know, denied any interest in wanting to pursue legal action against this. Well, like, we totally can't see it, though, but we have to trust them. This irrefutable evidence exists that only the victims can see, and the video was just meant to get the attention of other potential victims to help his case. That's basically the Steelman position for Mamamax. The problem is the video would definitely hurt any legal case, like I Hate Vertigo just said, absolutely. Basically, any dumbass YouTuber getting involved with a legal case will ruin it. And on top of that, like, how are we supposed to take this as honest? Like, why not provide even, like, verifiable proof of her going missing? That wouldn't harm the case any more than what's already been made public. I don't know. It just feels so fishy. So many things feel fishy. The only thing I've been able to verify that seems legit is the group home story, which, like, yeah, maybe she had a bad experience with a group home, but the rest of it's bullshit. That could very well be a possibility, too. But the stuff about the group home seems very true and horrific. That group home sounds goddamn awful. I hope it gets shut down. But, yeah, other than that, it just seems very... all of it just seems very fishy, besides the group home stuff.
His wives were arrested on felony shoplifting because
Okay.
he would tell them
You know
to...
what? Wait, hold on. That's public. Get us the name of Camden Gerard Davis's wives who were arrested on the federal charges of shoplifting, and we can literally look up arrest records. Do you want to know how I know that? Because to prove myself, like, accurate and true in the whole fucking Lonnie drama that happened, I was able to provide publicly available arrest records with a name, full name, date, and charges that were just available on California's government websites for arrest records. There's that one famous clip where Merrick looks it up and just finds the arrest record that Lonnie claimed didn't exist. Like that one famous clip. Yeah, that's a good one. But yeah, like give us a name of one of these people and we can look up federal charges. We can look up if federal charges for yada yada exist for a certain date that makes sense for this story. The age makes sense, like, and so on. Like, give us names. I know doxing is generally bad, but if we're exposing a, like, rapist, pedophilic cult here, then I feel like you need to give names.
Literally steal anything and everything that wasn't tied down so that they could sell it for money. They would sit there and break into smoke shops and steal Delta 8 weed, like the legal weed.
Yeah, Texas.
Yeah. Well, that's in Georgia. They've got it too. So they would steal that and they would mix it with, like...
Yeah, I just clarifying here. Delta 8 THCO Delta 9, or actually no, Delta 9 just is weed, like normal weed. It's what I smoke, or vape, I should say. Basically, if you go to like Florida, Texas, any state that hasn't cut down on it, but or like banned it, but which is very few, and doesn't have weed legalization, there's a good chance you can go to a vape store or a gas station and get something called Delta 8 THCO. There's like a bunch of other types of this stuff. It is not synthetic weed. It's not like spice or whatever. It is, on a chemical level, what is banned in most legal definitions of marijuana is a very specific derivative, like version of marijuana that you can get high from, THC that you can get high from. But you can alter it and make the same basic effect, the same basic chemical that is legally different enough that it's not the same thing. And thus they sell it in gas stations and vape stores. So yeah, there is Delta 8. This would be, theoretically possible. Isn't it derived from CBD? Maybe, but it gets you high. It feels like THC, I'll tell you that. It feels like THC.
Real, actual marijuana.
Now,
and
these are
they
all
would sell
obviously
that.
like adults at this point, right? Like none of these
Yes.
are minors, because if they were arrested on felony charges, that would be a whole set of red flags.
Yes, but the two other wives were underage when they were first brought into the group.
Is there any name or like case number that I can pull up this public record of a smash and grab and these felony shopliftings?
Max, do you know where it is?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Do you want me to send it?
Yes, please.
Sure, yeah.
So I haven't sent anything because Nick has not signed the NDA.
Can you send it directly to Mutahar?
Well, if these are public, then we just want to see the public showcase of
Yeah,
the
if it's
Okay, that's fine.
the public report of the smash and grab.
Muta, you got to sign the super NDA to get the secret shot.
You need
Are
to
we
sign an
getting some
NDA for the
evidence?
NDA for the other NDA.
Yeah.
God, is that how people think this shit is right now?
A little bit.
I
Yeah.
mean, a little bit, yeah. It's, the problem
yeah.
is with you guys' story is you guys are bringing up this. So these public records, which I'm about to see, are of people that were under Camden, and they have felony charges for smash and grabs and felony shopliftings.
Not grab those and then the one of the guy.
Yeah. See, like this kind of information, if you had brought it up, would absolutely bring his character into question in your initial videos. And I think that's where people stress.
Okay, we have
The thing was,
evidence?
we didn't
Okay.
meet these people until after we did the awareness campaign.
Yes. So we literally reached out to them on the first of this month.
Yeah. So I hope it's becoming clear why we did the awareness campaign first.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is I also want to look at these reports, and obviously reports are one thing, but I need evidence that connects the report to.
By the way, on top of all of this, it's already been proven and admitted to that Mamamax has faked stories in the past, as well as, the insanely cringe, videos of him where he's, talking about how he's talked to hitmen and gotten quotes on what it would cost to have some of the predators that he's covered in his videos get, assassinated. Not only do I think that's bullshit, but I think it's, insane cringe. And he's doing it to virtue signal how much of a Billy badass he is online hunting predators, to virtue signal to his audience. The people who were in the call were the ones who were backing it up were all very young, mostly girls, while there were multiple adults in the chat revulsing at what he was saying. You could hear it and see it in the chat recording. You can tell what audience he's trying to play to. A young, naive, I don't think this is, I don't want to make this sound sexist, but mostly female audience. Young women are obviously, especially in a post-Me Too world, the most cognizant of their risk of being abused, trafficked, etc. And so that type of content, the true crime, the predator hunting content, as much as it has a very strong pull with dudes, it really seems to have a really strong pull with young women as well, right? And so it seems to mostly be that he's playing to an audience of young, naive women that watch his content and they see his internet badass persona and they buy it. They buy the virtue signaling. And obviously they themselves, it's the same thing as those women who watch true crime documentaries all day and then they have 500,000 locks all throughout their house to lock, double and triple and quadruple lock every window and door, and they have cameras and everything clipped. They're going to clip you. Listen, I've been so thoroughly clipped at this point that it's I don't even know. I've been pretty heavily clipperoonied.
Camden.
He is living at the same address as Camden. I mean, I'm not gonna say his address, but it's easily findable online.
The thing is even if you are living at the same address, you have to provide a receipt of communication or something that proves that he was the one that led him to do this. The thing is, my brother could live with me and he can rob a bank tomorrow. That wouldn't necessarily mean that I told him to rob a bank for me, right? That could be entirely out of his volition. That could be entirely out of his own decision making. That, you see where I'm getting at? So this is where I say, like, whenever you talk about these situations or you bring this up, you got to have 100% proof linking these things together, because that's literally what he could say. It's like, I didn't say anything to them, and then you guys, the burden of proof is on you because you made the accusation in the first place there.
Yeah, you bring up oh, sorry, you can go, Max.
Oh, thank you. So what we could do is have Rick Allen Ross appear as an expert witness, since he is a verified cult psychologist, and he has appeared as an expert witness to testify against cult leaders and explain cult psychology to a court of law. And he might.
That's just not evidence. That's nothing. Bringing on an expert witness cult psychologist that can explain how evil cults are is not. It feels like such a distraction. Chat, am I delusional here, or does Max constantly bringing this up feel like a repeated distraction from the questioning on the story and the important, like, we're looking for evidence, anything verifiable, can you give us anything? As an SA survivor, you'd want someone like Mamamax to exist, but the only people that offer that kind of service are bikers, military, or police serving a warrant. I mean, like, everybody wishes that vigilante justice could exist in a way that's like good. Like, everyone wishes there could be like a real life Batman or a real life Superman that actually does like a fictionally good job, right? But that's not a thing. Vigilante justice doesn't tend to work out either on the internet or in real life. I mean, there's sparse cases where it's led to like, usually vigilante justice that works in hand with the police. For, like, that's not really vigilante justice is the best way to do it. For example, a child is kidnapped on video, and a guy is caught on video and taking the kid into a car with, like, no markings, no license plate on it, and drives away. The video goes super viral. So the whole internet is now, like, scouring around to see if they can identify the dude. And they do so successfully. Stories like this have happened. That's a good example of, like, some level of vigilante justice. Like, a massive group of people get together, they identify someone, and because of that identification, justice is brought about. That's happened before, especially when it comes to much lower tier crimes than that. Usually property crime caught on video. A lot of the time the internet will, like, identify the person. For example, that one lady who burned the pride flag outside that one restaurant, the internet found who that lady was and she was charged because they were able to find her identity. So, like, I do think there are instances where it can be good, but overall, this type of content, it's rarely ever doing more good for the world than it is bad. It's just... You have to understand that first and foremost, this is Mamamax's job. He has to do this to make money. This is his job. This is how he pays the bills and keeps the lights on. You always need to understand that will be a motivation, a factor in any behavior a content creator engages in, even me. So, like, I think I've shown I'm quite willing to take hits to my channel and career numerous times going back in my entire history for the sake of my dignity and my pride and my ability to stick to my guns, But regardless, you got to keep in mind, every YouTuber does this for a job. And that is their primary thing, is they have to do this for a job. And regardless of how honest every other motivation may be, every YouTuber who does this and makes money from it for a living, it's their job. And financial incentives, if you're not extraordinarily careful, usually breed bad outcomes and bad motivations. Financial incentive rarely leads to people being able to control their ability to do bad things for money.
Even be able to deprogram these individuals for the criminal case against Camden.
But how would he get access to people who are still, like, in contact with Camden?
What was that?
How would we get access to people who are still like in the direct living quarters of Camden, like people who are still there? How would you be able to decultify? I forgot what term you used, but how would you actually get to that? Deprogram.
There's one part that I can't really talk about because it is like we're getting evidence together, and it is going to be like full like.
As much as I want to watch all of this, it will literally end up being a 5-hour-long segment. Apparently, things get really interesting towards the end, so I'm going to skip around just a little bit, okay?
Heavy
the stuff that you're looking for, and you won't get that.
This project with her, I just told her that I would like to finish my current projects first. If you want me to hand off this project to someone else, I will reach out. And Spencer, do you remember what you said?
I literally told Max, I don't want anyone else. I want you on this.
So
yeah, I hate Vertigo. So.
And why was that, Spencer, that you specifically wanted Max?
Because with everything else that I've seen from other, I guess, pedo hunters, the way Max was going about it in the videos that I had seen at the time, he was putting himself out there and literally catfishing predators and trying to get that evidence. And I was...
Unfortunately, a shit ton of that was proven fake, and he admitted to it.
Like, I mean, if he can do all this, maybe we could find a way into the cult one day and get all the evidence and implicate the shit out of Camden.
What part about Max's investigations really drew you in?
She was making allegations against Anthony. Haley made
a YouTube called Guild of Divinity that has been since shut down.
Yeah, that's another thing I wanted to ask about. What does Spencer mean that he like went and like disguised himself to go meet sophomores, like going back into the high school? What is that?
So, in the Wiley ISD school district, once you hit 5th grade, your school uniform is any color polo shirt, and black khaki or navy pants. He would literally just dress like that and walk into the school to have lunch with freshman girls. And it's not that hard to get into the school during lunchtime.
And he did this periodically? Like this was something he did often?
I saw it a couple times, but...
That's believable. Like the idea that an adult who's like on the younger side or looks young enough could just dress in like the fairly lax school uniform and just like sneak in during lunch. Because remember, most high schools, at least in America, we're talking about like there are 18-year-olds in high school. They like 16 to 18-year-olds in high school who've got cars. And so during lunch, sometimes they're allowed to go out to their car and get their lunch. Sometimes they're allowed to leave the school premises to go get their lunch from a restaurant and come back. That's not always allowed, but I know that some high schools allow it. So, like, yeah, it is theoretically possible an adult could just straight up sneak into a high school like that and just not get noticed. But once classes get called, like, there's hall monitors, there's, like, on, like, site police officers. So if you don't get out of there before lunch is over, I mean, you're gonna get caught. Not after Parkland. Nah, Wingo. I mean, I went to high school after Parkland, I think. Didn't I? I think Parkland happened during my last year of high school. And the high school that I went to definitely had fences, but like there was an open fence gate you could just walk or drive straight into during the lunchtime. It would not be hard. It wouldn't be hard. You'd be surprised I knew a guy whose brother would sometimes show up and pretend to be him. That's crazy, but also genius.
Yeah, I ended up moving lunch tables because I had a whole thing with my table.
What year was this?
This was... God,
maybe after 2014.
It was 2015 because it was right after I'd come back to Wiley from Houston.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because I mean that's around the time I graduated, and I don't know, maybe we went to different types of schools, but like no, that would not have gotten the security would have escorted you out.
It was a freshman sophomore table, and the girls that he was sitting with were definitely freshmen.
And dressing up as a student is
like without going through the office, showing his ID to get a badge saying, "Hey, I'm visiting someone for lunch."
So this is what I'm saying. There's multiple things against Anthony Field. For me, I feel comfortable.
I mean, it depends on the school, right? So like, I don't know where Nicholas Deorio grew up, but like, so here's one thing I know for a fact: if you go to like if you live in a big city, like in the city. Like in New York City itself, chances are your school is going to be like a big brick block of a building, maybe with like a courtyard in the center. It's going to be basically locked down tighter than a prison. pulling that off, like maybe that's the kind of school Nick Deorio went to, that's practically impossible to pull off, right? But like the schools I went to, like if you go to school in Florida, out in, you know, the country, you know, Georgia is where this took place, so it makes sense. The school campuses are like a big fucking facility, like a big fucking area, lined with fence usually, sometimes not though. And there's like a big ass parking lot with an area to pull in up to like a pickup area for like kids that are waiting to get picked up by their parents from like a pickup line. And then there's just an area to walk straight into campus, at least in most. You can go through the office, but there's like multiple ways of entry, both for teachers and parents and students. Like, especially during lunch at a high school when like they usually allow students to come and go, at least some high schools. Yeah, it could happen. Like that part of the story is plausible. I wouldn't say it's impossible.
Saying he is a pedophile. I don't feel he could do anything to me legally for saying that, because if he were to, the girl who made the testimony would come forward and testify.
So she has his dick pic and has timestamps of when it was sent. That's real. That exists.
He does not have his dick pic.
So what does she have that she could come forward with?
Just her memory. But
wait, so you don't think that you could legally be held liable for the statements you're making if he were to sue you because you have someone who can come forward and tell you it happened?
Well, I am just documenting what she said.
No, you are calling him a pedophile.
Correct. And to be able to
Yeah, I don't know if that would fly in court. I don't know.
successfully sue me for defamation, he would have to prove that I am lying, which I am not, because the girl is real and she sent me those DMs.
Wait, which DMs did she send you?
Telling me what Anthony Field did at the end of Believe All Abusers.
Okay.
So if Charlie can call Sneeko a pedophile because he said he's attracted to cuties, I think a testimony with multiple witnesses would be enough to call Anthony Field a pedophile.
So why
Did Critical ever call Sneeko a pedophile for being attracted to... I think Sneeko called Critical a pedophile, and in response, Critical said, "You literally talk about how Cuties is your favorite movie of all time. If anyone here is a pedophile, it's not the guy who hasn't done that." Basically was his argument, if I recall correctly.
why is there no evidence that this happened if you're saying that this was done in I believe you said like your sister had seen this with her eyes. So like
This was a Snapchat that the girl did not save.
so it was open in front of a group of people then.
It was open at dinner at my house with my sister looking at it.
Can we get the ages specifically to this situation, I guess?
It was 14, but she looked 9. Like she's currently
And he
20
was
something and she
18?
still looks 12. He was 18 or 19 at the time.
Okay.
And that's another thing, is the fact it's just everything. Like, how can you not see it?
I don't know why you're using
how can I
Sneeko as
not
a
see it?
comparison.
No. I'm just saying when you see a specific. So let's say you're reached out to someone that you know, that you've known your entire life, and they're like, "Hey, this dude sent me a dick pic when I was 14. Can you say something about it?" And you ask others about it, and they can verify that it did happen. Why would you not say something about it?
I think there's a difference between why wouldn't you say something about it in like a social setting to other people in your area saying, "Hey, this is pretty weird. You should probably stay away from that guy," and blasting it on your YouTube channel at the end of an abuse allegation response video. I think you know exactly what you were doing there.
It was pertinent to the video.
When I was watching the lyric stuff, anytime the Anthony Field situation
Yeah, he first included this entire drama in a video, at the end of a video in which he is responding to abuse allegations about himself. Now, to be clear, from what I saw, it seems like he pretty thoroughly debunked the abuse allegations about himself and even seemed to have proved that he was in fact sexually assaulted by one of the so-called victims that was accusing him. But like, at the end of that video is when he included his first, like, big announcement of this investigation, this whole situation, which was definitely, it struck people weird at first, but what really got people weirded out by him was his big call to all YouTubers to support his video or they are pro-pedophilia. That really kind of rustled people's jimmies, and rightfully so.
came up, you said it was his behavior that's evidence enough.
What you
That
said.
is literally what you
You
said.
are twisting my words right now.
I can
Okay, things are getting spicy.
I sent it to Scrap.
Okay.
fucking hell. No fucking.
Dude, this is crazy.
Why are we
bro.
getting angry? Why are y'all so
There's-
defensive?
so-
against
I'm
me?
There's a
literally-
real-
I'm literally ruining a fucking case. That's why I'm getting fucking mad at you.
You have 8
I'm
girls
ruining
relying
the
on
case.
you, and you have no idea what you're doing.
You
Like, it's
literally
so
told me in
evident.
this call, I didn't fucking look at all this evidence. I didn't vet it properly. Now you're pulling up legal definitions.
That is
from
not what I
ChatGPT.
said, Mutahar. That
What
is
the
not
fuck
what I
is-
said.
That is exactly what you
That is
said.
literally what you
You are
said.
twisting my words right now.
I can transcript this call and we can go over this.
Okay, we can go over it.
Hold
You
your
are
mouth.
putting
I'm
words in my
literally-
mouth.
I'm not putting words in your mouth. That's what you said. You said you only verified Spencer's evidence. You didn't even properly analyze or timeline the evidence of the other victims. That's not putting words into your mouth. That's literally
Okay,
repeating.
can you allow me to clarify them?
Sure, clarify this, please.
Okay. I am in the server where they are posting evidence. Not all of them have walked me through what the evidence is as to what the context is.
Okay, so you can't verify the evidence then.
What does that mean? I can't verify it.
You can't verify if what they're posting is legitimate.
It means that there's a
Verify
much
it.
larger issue here. Not only do we have no idea what's going on, it seems like
don't.
you don't know what's going on.
I do know what's going on. I don't know the complete story.
You're the complete story. That's your job, just to get the complete story out there. You understand how crazy this sounds?
That is what we are working on.
Why did they come to you? I don't understand. You clearly have never done anything like this before.
And that is why I've been asking for help, Nick.
Why the hell did you make a statement of fact calling somebody a pedophile when you couldn't even properly walk?
Are we going to keep arguing this?
Yes!
Yeah, we are. We have to keep arguing it because you clearly don't understand the ramifications of what you're doing to this.
Because you're setting it up for the
All
guy
right.
who potentially molested and abused tons of women to fucking take the money you've given these victims
what?
in court in a
Yeah.
civil case.
I'm going to tell you right now, I actually believe the victims. I think that there is some malfeasance involved, but how you've handled this case and how you've been doing this call so far, you know who has grounds to fucking sue you? You know who has some credibility to win now? It's Camden.
Not only is this guy not going to go
They are making good points here, by the way. With the lack of evidence shown publicly, he could just straight up, sue for defamation. Not just, Mamamax, but also these victims, or alleged victims. Which would be if he is actually an abuser, a horrible scenario. But it is the type of behavior that is being enabled here. Hey, minimum volts. I don't know what's going on. Well, we're getting towards the end here.
in jail. You can end up paying him, bro. You're
And
making
sir,
money.
do you want to read what you read to me earlier? Because
You literally gave me a quote from a law. You literally named the agency. Just link me that.
Oh, you need to send it. You didn't send it,
oh, sorry.
dumbass.
Let's read this one together here.
This is on top of the lawyer I've been speaking with, multiple lawyers I've been speaking with. Like, y'all can scream at me and yell at me for being stupid, but I'm simply relaying you.
I'm not happy
what
that
I
you're
want.
being stupid. I'm noticing that 8 people, supposedly, and there may be more now, have put their trust directly in you. And you, clearly, self-admitted, need help and can't handle the situation that you're currently in. Every time that someone criticizes you about the story, you say, I'm doing what's best for the victims. And hiding behind those people. Yes, I understand. You found more people through your videos. You know what you also did? You made Spencer take the brunt of the scrutiny now because you can't provide anything about the person that supposedly abused her. So there's one side of the story out. Now everyone who's going to question it is questioning her, not him, because you didn't tell anybody about him. So yeah, you're damaging her by doing that. You understand that, right?
I think what's damaging, and Muta, sorry to call you out on this, but you spend all this time, you go on lives with these other creators, but yet this is the first time you and I have sat down and had a conversation. Okay. You are in the server. You can literally just say, hey, does anyone want to schedule a time to call? I'd like to ask some questions. Like, it's...
And every time I talk to somebody, it's always off the record because the evidence is under NDA, so what the fuck am I supposed to do?
Well, I mean, you could maybe absorb it. It's stuff
Absorb
that
it
you
into
can...
what? Make a video? And then get
That's the
myself
problem,
video
is
it?
nobody can do anything because you won't give us
Release it
action
with their
items.
approval. You can release it with their approval.
And then if the evidence isn't substantial enough, I'm putting myself in a defamation issue?
So you don't believe them?
I mean, I believe them. I also believe evidence has to be 100% perfect.
There's a difference between believing somebody and being willing to...
I just sent it to you. Testimonials can serve as evidence, okay?
Yeah, the judge and jury must consider whether the witness statement is credible alongside looking at other forms of evidence.
Dude, this is so fucked. We're not even in court right now. You're talking about what could potentially get a conviction while you're trying to go to the court of social media, and you're telling them you don't have any fucking evidence. You're taking the wrong stuff to the wrong place, dude.
What are you talking about? This is
Wait, you went public to...
right now.
what the survivors wanted, okay?
Well, then you should advise the survivors that that's not the best approach, and we should try to... They came to you for help. If they knew what to do,
right.
they would just
Here
do
we
it.
go.
But you're supposed to be the one advising them on what to do,
we
Max.
supposed to
This
do,
is on you. Do not
What
bring
were
them
we
up.
supposed to do? It is on me. I will take responsibility for it. We are finding more survivors.
And to do what?
We
I
have
read
these
through this.
survivors so that we can go to Georgia and file these reports in person because nobody's going to listen to us over the goddamn phones. We've
But what kind of
tried.
timetable is on that now? But my point is the clock not ticking now? The thing is, you're trying to get all these people together to go to Georgia to go make this directly, and you're telling me that you haven't even spoken to everybody in the group chat, and you're not
Okay,
responding as much as you'd like to.
minimum
So it's clear that you don't... I don't want to say you, because I'm not talking to you, Spencer, when I say this, but it's clear that Max doesn't have a grasp on the people he's already got. Why are you trying to add more if you can't control the group that you already have?
Section redacted
Okay.
for reasons listed earlier.
I have some questions for you, Muta.
Sure.
Why did you choose not to respond to our direct communications, yet publicly lecture and criticize us in public streams?
Because you were hosting public streams with call-ins, and I called him as your friend, and I gave you advice. I didn't like.
Why did you not direct me? Why did you not contact me directly as your friend when I've been messaging you?
Did me, you, and Nux not have a call?
After months of reaching out to you and having a call with Nux first.
When did we? I got to read our communications. Let me see.
You should, because there's multiple.
Dude, YouTubers will really get upset if another YouTuber like says a problem that they have with them publicly before coming to them privately. It is generally like, I don't know if that's what happened there, but that will generally like get someone really pissed at you in this space. I can say with experience.
Times you said we should get in a call with the survivors as soon as we can.
Yeah, we were supposed to organize it, and it never happened. It was supposed to be me, Charlie, and the other creator.
Days passed after messaging you back, and you never messaged me back.
Okay, you were supposed to organize this call. I didn't know that I was supposed to be organizing it.
I need to know your schedule.
Okay, this was supposed to be a massive group call. You gave a schedule. It never happened. What do you want me to do? Do you
It
want me
was
to go
clear.
and call every other creator and organize their schedules for them too?
It
I
was
know my
clear.
schedule, I don't know theirs.
It was clear people were not responding to the mass call.
Right.
So we decided to reschedule.
And what happened with that?
We were waiting for Charlie to get back to us because we were going to fit it with his schedule.
So then why are you putting this weird blame on me? Clearly it's on him.
Well, I'm asking why you did not directly contact me, but contact us only in public streams.
Let's see. I contacted you November 27th.
You-
Max, I seen your latest
Spencer?
video. I caught up with this whole situation. I have texted you.
What it felt like seeing him on streams.
You went on with Tommy and Lyrics and are sitting there talking to them when you literally haven't spoken to the other survivors.
Hold on, can you put Max on for a second?
I'm right here.
That was snaky as fuck, dude. Oh, I'm coming after you, Mutahar. Stand back, Spencer. Can you tell him what you felt? You are literally just a little snake
Because
hiding
you're
behind her,
literally-
dude. That's
Can
disgusting.
you listen to me? Can you listen to me? It was so fucking heartbreaking hearing Muta sit there and say that, oh, if this isn't to me.
Wait, what happened?
To the mass call.
Right.
So we decided to reschedule.
And what happened with that?
We were waiting for Charlie to get back to us because we were going to fit it with his schedule.
So then why are you putting this weird blame on me? Clearly it's on him.
Well, I'm asking why you did not directly contact me, but contact us only in public streams.
Let's see. I contacted you November 27th.
You-
Max, I seen your latest
Spencer?
video. I caught up with this whole situation. I have texted you.
What it felt like seeing him on streams.
You went on with
Oh, yeah. Okay, I see what he did now. Spencer, can you tell him what it felt like when you saw him on streams talking shit about me? Okay, dude. Yeah, I can see why Nick Deorio called that shit out. Yep.
Tommy and Lyrics and are sitting there talking to them when you literally haven't spoken to the other survivors.
Hold on, can you put Max on for a second?
I'm right here.
That was snaky as fuck, dude. Oh, I'm coming after you, Mutahar. Stand back, Spencer. Can you tell him what you felt? You are literally just a little snake
Because
hiding
you're
behind her,
literally-
dude. That's
Can
disgusting.
you listen to me? Can you listen to me? It was so fucking heartbreaking hearing Muta sit there and say that, oh, if this is fake, then I'll gladly put money towards Camden's defamation trial. That
But I thought you said it's fine with saying it's allegedly. Now all of a sudden, there's no like other side to the story.
How do you feel? How do you think that it makes myself and the other survivors feel when you're saying that? It is okay to think that, but you're going publicly and saying that to everybody else when you haven't spoken to the others. I'm just trying to understand, why would you do that without talking to us?
Well,
I've
That
spoken with
is
Max. Max
literally
is
the
your
most-
representative. Max is supposed to be the one bringing the story across to everyone. And yes, if in the case that everything is actually...
I mean, it's definitely a edgy thing to say, but like, yeah, if it ends up being that this shit is fake and this random dude has just had a YouTuber and a supposedly a group of women like come after him for the sake of whatever reason it would be, then yeah, it would be reasonable that YouTubers would want to pull together money to help with a defamation case. If this guy was truly just some random innocent guy who did none of this and is just being targeted for some like psychotic clout thing. But it doesn't even seem like that's the case. There's a good chance this is all true. And like best case scenario, Mamamax is just ruining any real case he would have for this situation if all of it is real and true. Because he's handling it horribly.
Why is it my job?
Doing this in the first place, like this entire interview even happening in the first place, is a perfect example of how horribly Max is handling this situation as far as like having real justice come about through legal authorities at some point in the future.
Because you're the
What?
one who's
What?
spearheading it. Fine, you're the one spearheading it. What do you mean? Fine. give
Okay.
Why is it
You-
your
you-
job?
you-
Because you're the
Sure.
fucking person who's running the investigation. This is your case.
Investigate this as well, and you haven't.
Yeah, why are you putting it all on me?
Because it's your
You're the
case.
fucking one bringing it. Why are you
Absolutely. I am the first one.
Yeah.
I do
You
not
are the
want to be
only
only
one. You haven't convinced anyone to come on board yet.
You haven't convinced exactly.
That's because you haven't been listening to this.
That's because you haven't been giving anybody anything to work with.
This for months.
Yeah,
Why-
and I've had a 2-hour-long call, and I'm
Muta-
not moving anywhere close to the situation.
Muta, why can't you take initiative to talk to other survivors?
Well, I'm talking to you right now more than anybody else.
Well, you can literally go into the general chat.
I'm not in
and
that server anymore. I've had to leave that server because of Max's mega folder that I am going to question you about, by the way.
At the same time, while we're talking about this, and Mutahar is coming up and stuff like that, and you're saying that it was unfortunate to see what Muta would say about you on a live stream, why was Max telling everybody that Muta saw the evidence and using the clout capital that comes with that to try to get people to believe it? Like, Muta's seen it, it must be good.
That there is evidence there, even if it's unsubstantiated.
Dude, I know this is like mostly stuff that happened last year technically, but man, Muta has had a fucking busy year. Year and like 2 months, I guess. Bro's been fucking busy. Honestly. Like, first it was the, like, I think something came before the, completionist drama, right? Like, the completionist drama was the last big drama, but wasn't there something before that that was big that, that Muta had been, like, the center of? Like, this dude's just been jumping from, like, being the face of like, what the internet is talking about drama to drama, you know? Like, he has been in there. What was the other drama? There was something else big that he did in the last year besides the, completionist stuff and this. Something else big that he did. I forget. I covered it for sure. I don't know. I don't remember, but yeah, he's been like absolutely grinding this last 12 months.
Substantiated at the moment, and he doesn't know the context. Like I said, he could have gone in there.
Well, Muta
and
has to come
gone
out and
into general
clarify that it's not actionable because now it's attached to his name. People are looking at it as this is Muta approved.
Publicly saying he's seen some.
Crypto Zoo. He was a part of exposing Crypto Zoo. So he exposed Crypto Zoo. What's it called? The Boogie stuff. The Boogie stuff was big, and then the Completionist, and now Mamamax. So yeah, Some Ordinary Gamers has been like fucking busy the last year. He has definitely done a phenomenal job of getting his name recognition out there. He was already a pretty big YouTuber, so I don't know how big the market saturation is for him already, but I have no doubt that he's seen like a big bump to all of his stats in the last year, considering like how central to so much internet drama he's been, and in a good way, and like being a well-reasoned, well-researched voice of reason, who's been on top of like exposing and investigating people and backing it up with like research and doing it properly. Like I'm very happy to know that I've got a good, like, general relationship with Muta, especially since my first ever interaction with him was a video criticizing him. Not, like, a very spicy video or anything, but, you know, it was still, like, on the air. It was on the side of criticism, but he took it extremely well and was like, oh, shit, I didn't even know that. Thank you for making that video, and corrected himself and followed me and stuff. So he's a chill guy. He's, like, donated to me while streaming before as well. I mean, I've definitely got my biases here. I'll be open about that. But, yeah, I've got my reasons to side with Muta, for sure. But, like, I'm looking at this as objectively as I can. But, yeah, fuck. This shit is just one of, like, so many big dramas this year, too. Just overall. Or this last 12 months. Here, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit to see if things get spicy again.
Does he criticize your YouTube video, Max? That was
He can tell me to suck his dick and call me a pedophile, but I can't do that to him in a QR code. Are y'all being serious right now?
This is such a joke.
It is not a joke.
Yeah, it is. You're a joke, and you're fucking this up for these girls, and it's all on you, and you're digging your fucking grave right now. It's insane.
I'm just gonna say it just because I have to say it. You need to hand this situation off to a proper investigator, a proper journalist.
Why don't you take it, Mutahar?
Am I a law enforcement?
If you think he's a proper journalist, that's the problem. Like, what's wrong with you?
So you can talk about other cases, but you can't talk about this one.
What other cases have I talked about?
Are you telling me you have not done any investigation on any other case whatsoever?
What other cases specifically? That's what I'm asking you. I have investigated other cases, but what were those cases? What was the nature of them?
Nothing
You know, you're like a
involving
pedophile hunter,
exposing
right? You, like, do
pedophiles.
this. You've covered quite a few cases, but for some reason you're telling us that this one seems particularly difficult. So are all cases built the same? Just because Mutahar has done Club Penguin, he can march these 8 girls down to Georgia? Like that's just like a normal thing to
That's not
do.
what we're asking for.
You know what? I'm sorry, you're not being very clear about it.
Survivors earn our trust, and then maybe we would have.
You know what's fucking crazy is I can, like, in my mind, replay 100 times Muta said during the completionist drama. I am not here saying that, saying that he needs to go to prison. All I am saying is that up until this was exposed, there has been some fishy stuff going under the radar involving the money that's going on, that's happening at Indieland, going to this supposed charity. All I am suggesting is that with this attention, it should have the proper authorities should investigate it as they should, and do what they will, and justice will be done. If he is innocent of any wrongdoing, then he'll be exonerated. If he's not, then the authorities will do what they do. I can literally, like, recall him saying that 100 times. It was, like, never him trying to claim he's this, like, bringer of justice. It was always just him saying, like, with this attention, use your numbers to contact the proper authorities so they can handle this, now that you know something fishy is happening. Like, that was always how he, like, framed it, you know?
Shown him more evidence. The thing is we don't know who to trust right now because of the shit that's been happening. We knew this shit was going to come regardless. Like, how are we supposed to allow certain YouTubers to see this evidence and trust that later on they're not going to turn around after getting our permission and then say something negative about it?
Well, saying something negative about it isn't necessarily a bad thing, because that's an opinion. Like, to say something negative about something they've seen would just be a statement you don't like. It wouldn't necessarily be something malicious, right?
Well, I mean malicious statements in general. Like, there's fucking shit that people are saying about me now, and it's like...
Well, yeah, that's Max's fault, because you're literally the front of this entire thing, right?
My fault,
Yeah, dude, because you're using her as a human shield. Does it hurt? Does it hurt the way that you're being used as a human shield?
I would very much like to point out that Muta going on to Tommy C and Lyrics, that brings more people that dislike that dislike Max out. There are people that are literally cyber stalking survivors right now because of these commentary
channels. Are they cyber stalking them, or are they looking for evidence that no one will provide?
Literally cyber stalking.
I feel like that's what everyone wanted, was we're going to go public with this so people look for evidence. But they're looking for evidence that we don't want to show them yet?
Someone went all the way through Kai's fucking Facebook, found a post from like 3 years ago, and was trying to use that as like a gotcha for Max.
Well, yeah, that's what happens when you go public with a story instead of focusing on going through law enforcement. You're going public. There are negatives and there are positives to going public. And I'm sure Max didn't explain that.
Point I've been making 100 times. Keep it private, go through law enforcement, and you can make your video when justice has been served. And it's all, like, in the past. And there's no worry about covering it, like, causing harm. I'm pretty sure that's what, like, Chris Hansen to Catch a Predator did back in the day. Like, I'm pretty sure whenever, like, they did an episode on those people, if they were convicted at any point, they were already convicted when the episodes came out. So, like, and they worked with law enforcement, so it didn't have this chance of just giving a get-out-of-jail-free card to a predator.
To you, because it's clear he has no idea what he's doing.
Explain that to me. But the thing is when someone as influential as Muta goes on to these, it just perpetuates it even more. Like, it makes people think, oh, well, this big YouTuber said this
on
his stream.
On those streams that was so counter to your narrative?
You said that the evidence that Max showed wasn't something that you would make a video on. It wasn't substantial enough to show on your YouTube channel. And you said those things because Max went around telling everybody that you'd seen the evidence and was using that as like a clout capital play so people would believe what he had to say. Because he's not going to show anything to everybody. I guess he hadn't gotten the permission yet.
You are speaking for us?
Well, you don't speak for yourself, Max.
I'm talking.
Okay.
All right. Do we need another break? Should we take 15 or something?
I got fucking other investigation to do.
Sure,
I just want to get to the fucking bottom of this and be done. And
you won't. It's a complex case that has many survivors. You won't get to the bottom of it until you've spoken with all of them.
You haven't spoken to all of them.
Not in the call.
So you want me to do your job now?
That's not what I'm asking you.
What is Max supposed to do when these survivors are literally busy working and going to college and trying to better their lives? I don't really have much of a life, so I can focus all my time and energy on this if I need to. But they deserve their justice still, regardless of how busy they are.
So,
and
I would say,
too, Spencer. I put aside my hours to talk to you as well. So we can't just use the busy. I'm also a very busy individual.
We know, and we appreciate you taking the time.
That's why you could have gone in and said, hey, can we schedule a call between me and any of these survivors? Like,
do you think that this call would have changed? Like, do you think after hearing everything you had to say today, okay, and we let you have the opportunity to speak, and I think it went pretty well for that portion of it, do you think Muta would change any of the things that he said on my stream?
Dude, I want to see what leads up to how Max has, after the fact, like, been issuing false privacy complaints and trying to do takedowns on anyone's videos covering him negatively.
For some shit, and that would never trigger any enforcement. Let me grab the video. I timestamped
brainwashing. This is just a
problem. When we hear hundreds of people have been victimized, these things all need to be corroborated and substantiated.
But it was hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, so we're at least 600.
Yeah.
We're still
Anyways, I gotta finish. I got another call to get to, guys. But it's been good talking. Look, I don't know how my video is gonna go. I will say this much right now. I was hoping to come into this call to get a full, complete story of Camden Gerard Davis to understand cult psychology and everything. But we're sitting in a situation where for months we still don't have the silver bullet evidence. That's really gonna keep us going, right? And that's me personally saying it, right? That's just from my assessment.
If need be, Muta, you can just wait for my video. Like, I'll try to explain as much as I can with what we have.
I can wait for your video, but like, you know, it's just again, you know, I'll wait for your video. I'll do whatever. I'm gonna call you guys later. I have another call going in right now. So yeah, take care, guys.
Thank you for taking time to do this. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, you too. Take care, man. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Yeah, man, I feel like that's a good way to wrap that segment up, dude. I don't know. It just feels very fishy, especially the fishiest thing of all. It has to be the lack with the full name, date of missing, and the town that they went missing from, was not able to find Spencer's, like, any evidence, any footprint of Spencer going missing, who was 16 years old at the time, a 16-year-old girl. Just very fishy that 10 results came up, 2 of them being about this drama, like, after the fact, like very recently, and the other 8 having nothing to do with this. Just really doesn't seem right. It really, really doesn't vibe, you know? Anyway, I guess we'll just have to wait and see how this continues to unfold. All I know is Max is issuing false privacy complaints, so if you've watched this video already, then, I mean, hopefully it stays up, because there's a good chance I might be targeted next.